some of the band reunions of old bands that I see are really sick, but there are a few of them that I've seen that I'm like, come on, like is this really necessary? Like, it's kind of clear that, like, okay, you guys see money in the nostalgia and you're bringing it back, trying to live the glory days of 20 years ago, playing your first album again. Like, that was looked at as lame, I felt like, for a long time. 2004 was great, and I love that it's starting to be legitimized and we're looking at it through a more serious lens, but it just worries me that it's starting to look corny again, or be this thing where it's like, all right, emo nostalgia, we get it.
Real quick before we start, I just wanted to mention that we do these podcast recordings live on stream. We stream every single Wednesday at 6 p.m. EST on Twitch. It's an opportunity for you guys to come hang out, interact, and ask your questions directly to all of our guests. We also have a Discord if you want to keep talking more about deathcore and metalcore, or simply to keep up with everything that we're doing, upcoming guests, and all that jazz. I'll leave links to both of these things in the description wherever you are watching or listening. And with that out of the way, please enjoy this episode. Welcome, everyone, to the Brutality podcast. My name is Dom. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Yan. And today we have a bonus episode for you guys. We're doing something a little different, something we've been looking forward to do for a while now. We have Julian, a.k.a. the Cozy Representative, with us here today. Hey, man, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
What is up, guys? How's it going?
It's going very well. I've been talking about it, I think, ever since we started. So people are probably thinking, finally, he's going to shut up about it. It's happening. Right, Dom? Yeah. So
yeah. We've had the name on our list since the very beginning. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm very happy and honored to talk to you finally. I know we've talked in the DMs for a bit, and I don't know. I love everything you got going on, man. It makes me happy to see.
Thank you, dude, for real. Like, I've been very open with everybody. Like, I think even in some of my videos, I said, like, yeah, Cozy is I've mentioned, like, Finn a few times, but, like, my whole format, like, the whole reason why I was like, I should do it for deathcore was, like, seeing when you did Asking Exandria, the 3 videos. I think I've watched them, like, 50,000 times. The Attila one too. All the those videos, like, it made me realize that this format, it resonated with me because it's more friendly. It's not like super kind of cold and just like this, and it's more like you're talking to camera, you're with people, and that spoke to me more. So I was like, oh my God, what if I would do that? But like for all those extreme deathcore bands that we don't hear about, and it started like that, man. And super appreciative. Yeah. It started with your channel, so I was like, let's do it. But yeah, I said it like 50,000 times. Like, even in my videos, I'm like, hey, if you didn't see his video, Asking Exandria, it's awesome. So I've been very open, but it was life changing for sure, man. Like,
I love that, man. I'm incredibly just humbled and honored to hear that, because I just see it as like, when I started my channel, it was like literally the same thing for me, where there were other channels I would watch. At the time, it was Finn McKenty, who he was just starting out.
He was doing more of those style of videos back then too, right? His content's changed over the years, but there was a lot of more kind of deep dives, rise and fall type stuff. Early days. Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, exactly. Like, he did one about like A Day to Remember, and like that, he was doing those kind of scene bands. And this was like 2018, 2019. And I remember watching him, and I had never really seen like sort of the sort of Warped Tour emo style bands kind of covered in that way, because that music was always kind of
back in the day, it wasn't like looked at as like all that legit, like Warped Tour scene kind of stuff. It wasn't like there weren't like serious journalists or like music publications covering it in a serious way. It was more just like LOL, the stuff we used to listen to in middle school or whatever. But anyways,
self-contained, right? Like you had AP and you had like these few outlets but they did specifically that, right? It wasn't like a mainstream kind of outlet or anything like that.
Exactly. So when I saw Finn doing that stuff, it like inspired me a lot. And there was also a channel, a guy called Nate the Mate. I don't know if either of you know him. He doesn't do his channel anymore for some reason. I don't know why, but he covered like emo bands too. And I remember seeing those two channels specifically were like the same thing that you just said, Yan. Like I saw those channels and I was like, I love this and I feel like I could kind of do what they're doing, but put my own spin on it. And, I never expected anybody to ever watch it. But, eventually it started like some people started watching. And I don't know, just the fact that like now, like it's kind of the same. YouTube is like this continuous thing where like you saw my channel and wanted to kind of put your own spin on that. Like that's such a cool thing for me. And I never thought anybody that would be the case for like someone watching my stuff. So that's really cool. And I don't know. I think that's awesome. I'm very like honored to hear you say stuff like that. It's just so cool.
Thanks, man. But I think it's something I love doing. Like when you go on any social platform, like people are quick to say like negative stuff, but like I feel like the positive stuff, like who influenced you and stuff like that, it's important to like recognize and talk about it. It's just super positive. So I was like, I'm gonna be straight up open and just say where it came from. And like as you said, I think it's important to put your own spin on, because if you just obviously just take something and do it, it's a different thing. But I just figured like, let's talk about those bands that either people have forgotten or kind of wonder what happened, because especially in deathcore, sometimes it's so niche, man. Like it was like there's no like there's not even a Wikipedia, like there's nothing. I was like, oh my god, I needed to talk to the band and then make a video. So it was a big learning curve. English is my second language. I'm destroying the whole language in every videos I'm making. So it's like, it was intimidating at first, but what helped me always was the fact that when you're just same level as everybody and you're just talking to a camera, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like if you don't take yourself too seriously, you just talk to people. I was telling myself, what's the worst going to happen? I'm just going to be myself, try it, and that's it. But I think seeing your channel and seeing how, I don't know how to explain it, like just casual, right? Like I would watch your video and I could tell that a lot of things were not scripted. It was just something that popped up in your mind and you just say it. And those are very often people's favorite parts because it's super genuine and it just, popped up. So.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. I've always tried not to do kind of like, I don't know, like I almost call it like, or like think of it as like BuzzFeed style videos where it's just like,
like 10 bullet points, like
like the 10 craziest things that happen, or just like
just a like YouTuber thing too, right? It's very YouTube-esque, that sort of format as well,
Yeah,
It'd be easy
exactly.
to fall into that kind of trap.
Right. Like, and you could like, like a hater might say, oh, you just like read Wikipedia articles about bands. And like, I mean, kind of, that's like maybe at the nucleus of it. But I would say that I try to like, I am telling a story of the band, but I try to put personality into it and put my own, the bands that I cover are usually bands that I grew up listening to or going to shows. Like I was, for like, that's why it's my channel, has been mostly like an emo channel. Cause that's like the, that time period and that era I grew up, I was there for it. I was going to the shows. I was online at the time, like on message boards.
That's huge though. I just want to highlight that real quick because I think there really is something to having lived it. And it's so fucking cool. Like now we're all three of us really are in a position where we kind of like document these things that we've been through. And you say like surface level, it's kind of like maybe reading a Wikipedia page, but really it isn't. Like you go read the wiki and half the stuff that you mentioned isn't there. And a lot of that comes down to, oh, I remember when this thing happened because there was a blog post that happened on MySpace or whatever. And then when you know what you're searching for, then you can kind of go find it. But anyone who wasn't there, they have no way of knowing these things. So I think that goes a long way, right? And I think it's a really interesting perspective to be presenting this information or talking to people about these sorts of things with the lived experience, because it really makes all of the difference between someone who's younger, who hasn't lived it maybe, and would be trying to deliver that information. That would be they would have nothing other than the Wikipedia, right?
Exactly. And that's kind of like, when I started making my videos, it was like I would read the Wikipedia pages for these bands, but I'd be like, but this isn't like enough. Like I want to like talk to somebody about this, or I want to like
maybe this isn't right. I see it in Wiki, but this isn't correct, and I know it.
Yeah, exactly. Or kind of like we're saying, get some perspective from like an actual human who like watched these bands grow and kind of knew like what the fan base was saying at the time, like, oh, this band put out this album in 2009 and it didn't get a good reaction, but some people, just things like that, little nuances that like, Wikipedia doesn't have, or doesn't, Wikipedia is not like a friend you can go talk to or whatever, or like, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's kind of like the difference in my head, if that makes sense.
Dude, there was because we had Chris Garza from Suicide Silence on a few weeks ago, and when I was doing some research for his stuff, I was looking up stuff for Suicide Silence, and I was looking at there was reviews for The Cleansing, their debut album, which like changed the fucking game in deathcore. But back then, deathcore wasn't a thing, and everybody fucking hated deathcore, right? Everyone fucking dogged on deathcore. So you look at the ratings that you have on Wikipedia that are mentioned for that album, and you compare them to their worst performing album that they've ever put out, and the ratings are nearly identical. If you don't know, if you don't know any better, you're like, oh, like they both suck type thing. But it's like, no, that's completely inaccurate. That's like, but you had to be there type thing, right? Like someone from the outside wouldn't grasp that sort of thing. I just find there's so many examples like that I come by doing research on bands and stuff that I'm like, okay, the lived experience is like such a big like factor in all of that.
I completely agree. And what you said also about like Wikipedia is part of it for sure. Like when I start a script, like to be honest, like, well, for the bands that has Wikipedia, I can, but like when, some of them don't. But when I do it, I start with it. It's kind of it's kind of the base of everything. Like I start with it. It's a skeleton. Yeah, skeleton. So I build it. But to be honest, the best part of my videos are very rarely wiki. It's going to be like what I find in interviews, what I find on blogs, what I find in old stuff. That's the value I feel like. But you still like, who's going to spend 3 hours reading Wikipedia on a band? That's not fun. So like, even if people, because I had these comments, like, oh, I mean, the info you said or available online. I'm like, I know because I got them, like, for sure they're available. But like, are you going to spend 2 days like just researching on that band for fun? If you do, cool. But like, there's something about having everything at the same place. When I was watching your the Asking Sindria series that you made, I mean, we're talking 3 long videos, and you covered basically the whole freaking, like, since the beginning and all that. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I knew it was a lot of work, but I didn't know until I started myself doing videos of like 40 minutes. Then I understood the amount of work behind that. Like, it's crazy. Like, a little part in the video, something very simple that people don't even notice, but you spend so much time just figuring out how people don't even, they're just like, okay, they don't even talk about it. And you spent like an hour just figuring out. So I've gained even more respect when I got to do it myself. I was like, there's a difference between a 10-minute video and a freaking 50-minute video. It's like it's 2 words. Yeah. 2 words, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that's honestly, I kind of for that reason, my videos aren't really as long as they used to be, or as like multiple part length as they used to be, for that, because it is a lot of work. But that used to be kind of like, you know, more so my vibe when I was starting and when I was getting going, because that was kind of the, you know, it's not because I wanted to make the videos like a chore to watch or like anything like that, because that was like, you know, sometimes that I would get like negative comments like that of people just being like, dude, this is too long, man, I can't. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because it was kind of like my like what I was going for specifically, like when I was making those videos, kind of my older ones, it was kind of like when you're just so into a band, like that you just get, you know, you're just in a phase of like, I'm obsessed with, I don't know, Asking Alexandria right now, right? And like for some reason, I need to know every single thing about them. Like I need to you know what I mean? Like you're just doing it on your own for fun. Like you're just like, I need to know exactly what happened every step of the way. Like this member left, and then this, you know, this vibe changed happened here on this album. And I kind of wanted to make my videos sort of like, you know, that vibe of like, here's like the vibe of being just insanely into this topic, you know? And but yeah, I kind of try to make my videos a little bit more refined these days, just because it's a lot of those older videos of mine that were like hours and hours long, like it really did kind of start taking a toll on like my, you know, it just kind of, you know, it's such a huge undertaking to do that, that it, you know, eventually I was like, okay, you know what? It's not the end of the world if I put out like a 20-minute long video. If I just, maybe this band doesn't need it. Maybe I don't need to talk for an hour and a half.
Well, not
or whatever.
Every single detail that is available online is necessarily worth mentioning either, right? Like I think there's a way afterwards of repackaging it and making executive decisions about what you really want to present to the world, right? It doesn't have to be everything.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, but you know, I'm happy that, I'm proud of all those like long ass videos that I made. And I still do some longer ones here and there, you know what I mean? But I'd say I'm a lot more relaxed these days with how I approach the channel in general. So, which is just kind of for my own like mental health, you know?
No, but I think it's cool the way you do it. Like you put like, you have images here and then you're just like, you're thinking about something, you talk about it real quick. Like it's very casual and cozy. Like it feels like you hang out with a friend or something. And I'm almost 100% sure that everybody watching your channel felt like a connection with you because of that, instead of just being like facts and I know metal and this. Like it's more just like, let's talk about this. Like I love this band, or I love this weird Christian album that she did. I'm gonna talk about it. But you know what? Right. Even if I didn't know anything about the album, I was still watching it, and I think I told you I enjoyed it. I think it was fun, and I could be wrong, but I feel like your personality, like, I don't think I would watch like a series like Asking Sindri, you have 3 videos, if it wasn't for the fact that like it's funny and it's fun. Like it killed me when you talk about Danny cutting his hair, doing country and all that. Like it killed me. Like I was like, because we all remember that. I remember thinking like Asking, I was a big fan of the band, and I was like,
me too.
What the hell are you doing, man? Like in my vision, I was like, this band was going like they were becoming like the biggest freaking metalcore band in the entire scene. They were the thing, and they go like, we want to do rock. What? Like I was like, what are you doing?
I know. Yeah, you're right. And he like they had the perfect outline, or like on the first couple albums, the perfect like archetype to be just like the perfect next metalcore band, right? Like their look, their branding, their sound, it was all just like for that time period, like this is exactly it. And then Danny
because that
Worsnop,
wouldn't work today, but yes, back then,
right? Yeah, it's dated now, but at the time, but then Danny Worsnop, I don't know what happened, but he decided he was like, I'm going to be the most confusing guy ever. I'm everything I'm going to do from here on out is not going to make any sense to anybody, and looking back, like I remember at the time also being very confused by that, but looking back now, I'm actually like, you know what? That was kind of cool that he like, I kind of like that he did that, because it's kind of more there, like almost more like, in a way, like, in a lot of ways we never got the continuation of like the classic metalcore Asking Alexandria, for better or for worse. But I would argue that like the Danny Worsnop story or whatever is maybe more interesting than some other
we wouldn't be
bands.
Talking about it right now, right?
We might not. Yeah, they could have. It could have just been, because there's a lot more. There's a lot more depth than just like what the hell. And that's why, like, kind of going back to what you were saying, Yana, I was happy to talk about that in a video, and just to kind of like, because it is one of those things where I'm like, does anybody else like wonder about do you guys want to talk what happened to this guy? What's going on here? Like, he made a country album and then whatever, so it's one of those things. It's it's more you could just again look on the Wikipedia article, he made a country album and then all this happened, but it's like there's something what am I trying to say here? Like it's one of those things that it's cool to just talk about with people and just kind of dissect, because I think we all, like,
he was like, he has this, of course, like, I think we're all going to agree, he has like the rock star kind of thing to him. And like, he became, of course, people need to understand also, if I would have been at like 17, 18 or whatever the hell, just successful like that going on TV, I would have been a mess. I'll be honest, a freaking mess. Like,
oh yeah,
passed out like crazy. Like, I know that for sure. So when you look from outside, we're like, what the hell? But at the same time, they were kids basically in a year or something, just becoming like the biggest thing and stuff like that. So like they went from being a band living in their van or something to be like the freaking big with the boss with like interviews and stuff. So a lot of people in those situations kind of, do stuff like, but it was just the thing I was wondering, and in your video, it's so perfect. You kind of did like a chapter thing that you see just a picture popping off with like Danny, who's kind of a redhead, like short hair. Like it's so true that like he had the perfect scene hair that like everybody was like, wow. And he just became like with all due respect, like just a normal dude playing Magic the Gathering at a store. Like, he just became like and I love Magic the Gathering. It's not a thing, but it's just like a regular dude. He just became like and all the guys in the bands was still seen very like in the same breath. So like
that's what made it the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Like if they decided like we're gonna change our the whole brand image at the like all at once, like people could like debate if they like it or not, but like just him changing and everyone else still looking like they used to was like such a weird contrast.
Yeah, that was the funniest part. If you watch any live footage of them from like the couple years before he left the band, it's like you could tell the rest of the band still wants to be like Bring Me the Horizon, or they still want to be like, the sort of, and then you got Danny, who's like 80s, like David Lee Roth, like rock frontman. Like, he's doing none of the typical like scene guy stage presence. Like, he's fully like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. Like, and you're it's. And at the time, it was so like confusing and weird. But again, it's one of those things where looking back now, I'm like, that is so interesting and funny and like, I don't know.
I wonder what the rest of the dudes felt. Like, because they didn't change their style, right? No. Like, I wonder how they felt about him switching up, because in their mind, I can only assume they had the perfect fucking front man, and then this sort of thing happens.
He did great vocals too. I mean, he was good. Like his singing voice, like very talented. Like I think you said it in your video too, but like I sincerely believe that he had one of the best voices of all freaking metalcore altogether. Like it was very unique and good. Maybe when he started singing in a rocky way, it was different, but like before that, it was like on Stand Up and Scream. Like I've listened to that album maybe 50 billion times. It's incredible. So seeing a guy like that kind of, I wouldn't say falling, but like just he was probably looking for himself, right? Like he said that he didn't like metalcore anymore, he preferred rock. He was trying basically to go for his passion, and I can respect that, to basically just be like, I'm going to do that. But from my understanding, to answer your point, Dom, after 15 minutes, what I wanted to say is in later interviews, the band were talking about the fact that it was kind of an inner fighting thing. Like they would say like, let's do breakdowns, and he was like, no, it sucks. So like, it was kind of fighting in the band.
He was the face of the band, whether you liked it or not. So it's kind of like I'd assume it's like asking with another vocalist would have been something else too. So it's like
and I think. Oh, go ahead.
No. You can. I was about to go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. I was just gonna say. I mean, from my perspective, looking into him, I think he. I don't know. I think he genuinely did kind of lose that. Like, I honestly do. I mean, based on everything I can tell, I think that the sort of the Warped Tour metalcore vibe was more of like a young phase that he was in. Like, it actually was a phase for him. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he secretly still loves it, and he's just been messing with us all this whole time. I don't know. But I think that he like actually just kind of lost. He just got out of that phase, and coupled with, they got extremely like popular and kind of like actually like they weren't like famous, like real deal famous, but they were more famous than most of the bands in their, that they came up with around that time. Like they were on Jimmy Kimmel, charting in like the, top 10 on Billboard, like crazy stuff. And I think Danny did, they partied a lot. I think Danny had like a drug problem and stuff. I think there was just a lot going on that he's just like, I can't be the like swoopy haired scene guy. Like, I don't know. Like there's a lot of factors to it too, which kind of makes it interesting, like more interesting than if he were to have just played the role of like the perfect scene metalcore frontman. Like if he was just that, it'd be like, okay, well, yeah, awesome. But there's almost like more depth to the story, because it's like, there's a drug problem and he was into different music and inner band fighting, like you were saying. Like it's really, I don't know, it makes for a good story,
Yeah, and I really want to talk about that also. We don't have to talk that much about it, but I said that I was influenced by Attila and Asking Sandra for my channel, but I discovered yours with the Brian Star video. That's when I found your channel. And I wanted to ask, was that the moment your channel kind of popped up, or is it just like it was before that? I'm just curious if it was your first like big video that kind of took off.
Yeah, so that was the first video that, it wasn't like the first video that sort of like, and I use this term loosely, but blew up. It wasn't quite like a blow up. When I made that video, that was maybe like, I had only been doing YouTube for maybe like less than a year, maybe like 9 or 10 months or something. And I wasn't really taking it very seriously. It was kind of more of just a thing I was doing for fun. And that was, and like before that, it was like any YouTube channel starting out. Like I think my videos got like, maybe like 100 or 200 views, if that per, what I mean? Like first starting out, that video got, I remember it got, like I put it up and like, I don't know what happened, but it quickly got like, I remember it got like 2,000 views, I think. And I was like, holy shit. Oh my God. Like that was crazy. And, you know, so that was a big video for me at the time, for me being such a small channel, but that was the first one that got kind of like a little bump like that. And then after that, I kind of started taking it a little bit more seriously, because that kind of made me realize, oh, like this could
proof of concept.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this could maybe turn into something. People that I don't know are watching it and enjoying it. It wasn't until, so that was like fall of 2019, and it was the spring into the summer of 2020. So like right as the pandemic was popping off and that was all going on. And I think there were like a few videos during that time that did really well, but the first one that really kind of exceeded any and all conceivable expectation was a video I did about blood on the dance floor.
Oh, yeah.
That one, because at the time, that guy, Davi Vanity, who's like, just, I don't know, just so Chris Hansen was doing an investigation on him at the time. I don't know if you guys remember this. Chris Hansen from To Catch a Predator was like interviewing all these people who had, let's say, negative encounters with Davi Vanity, and it was like a big deal online at the time. And I made a video
him too, right? Like it wasn't like part of you know, because he's always done these kind of like these stings that'll be, you know, they set up and then it's a bunch of people coming in like for a certain time. Like this was like, he like set his sights on this dude, you know, contrary to what most of Chris Hansen's work has been, you know?
Yeah, it was really interesting because it was like there had always kind of been these like sort of rumors or like this almost open secret that like this guy's into much younger people. Yeah, really horrible stuff. I don't even know if I want to like, you know, go into that. But basically, yeah, he was, for some reason, I don't even remember why Chris Hansen started like investigating him, but he did. And it was like kind of like the first time that a serious microscope was being held over this Davi Vanity character. And at the time I was like, I'm going to do, you know, all these people are looking into this guy's allegations or, you know, these stories or whatever, but there's not a video out there talking about his music and his quote unquote band, not really a band, but like his, you know, so I was like, I'll do a video, like, you know, for all the people kind of looking into Davi Vanity right now, I'll do a video of like, here's what the band he was in looked like. And yeah, a bunch of that kind of got caught up in that, like, you know, that sort of,
was it right
people
timing,
were looking it up at that time, and there's like some hype around him.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it almost feels weird because I wasn't trying to. The goal or intent was not to like capitalize on the like investigation of Davi Vanity or whatever. It was literally just to like, you know, just to kind of like inform people. Here's like the scene that this guy was in and the band he was in, and they actually got pretty popular. And you know, so but yeah, that was like the first kind of big one. And then there was like a Johnny Craig series that I did, and that was one good. Yeah. Did well, and there was a Never Shout Never series around that time. All that kind of stuff was like I got like an audience, quote unquote, not quote unquote, but like, you know what I mean.
One of your best too, by the way, like the Never Shout Never. And I was so happy when I saw that you did, because not a lot of people knew that he was also doing metalcore, you know, with Eat Me While I'm Hot. So when I saw that I was like, what? He's talking about that. Like I feel like your channel is probably full of people being like, finally, someone else is talking about these things or whatever, because Never Shout Never, not that I want to go like in the rabbit hole of this dude, but like for me, it was a big deception because I was a big fan of him as a person. And to see
he put
him
out Happy and it went all downhill.
Yeah, like in his face, like I was watching his channel, like his depressing blogs that he was just like super dark, and he looked like, you know, like I've been there. I know how it looks when you're never sober and you're just like in this. And it was like painful to like as a fan, right? To see like because he was so uplifting at first. He was like the little kid full of energy with his guitar, super happy, and then he's just like, we're serious musician and we're gonna be the Beatles. And I was like, what is happening right now? And I saw recently, not to trash him, I really wish him the best, but like I saw he is right now, and he doesn't seem to like he's still announcing music and stuff, but he seemed special. If I'm gonna keep it as positive as I can.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Yeah, but to be fair, I've seen the comments, and it's just mostly people saying, "Hey man, listen, I hope you're gonna be good and you're gonna be good." Like a lot of people are just hoping that he's
that's
gonna
crazy though, like that's the kind of interaction that you have with people online, right? Like that that your life is out there in a way that's the response people are giving back to you. It's so interesting to me, like that we're in a place where that sort of thing exists now. Like I don't know, it
wasn't expected from him. Like if you look at his beginnings, like in my mind, I was like, okay, he's the next big freaking like whatever Sidney Carter kind of thing. I was like, he's gonna just
another young dude who shot to fame, right? Like I think I think that's a
seriously
that's a common thing.
Like
crazy, right? So I think for a lot of these people, man, he was like fucking what? He was like 16, 17 tops, like when he was popping off, like so it's like everyone takes that differently, right? And I just think it gets the worst of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was and this is, I believe this is true. What I have heard is that he at 18 years old, he got a major label record deal, and I've heard he basically became like a millionaire from that deal or something. Like he had this insane, like I've heard like he got $1 million. I don't really know how that works. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to like whatever. That's just what I've heard. And it's kind of like he had like he legitimately could have been like an actual like pop star, like a Justin Bieber kind of guy.
Ed Sheeran type dude,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And he kind of like, just again, another thing of like got too into drugs, and he, I definitely wish the best for him too at this point. There have been people who have asked me if I'm gonna do another like installment of the like Never Shout Never series. And because since I did those videos there, he's been online and, and whatnot. And I, at this moment in time, I probably am not, as of right now, going to cover him at the moment, because it genuinely kind of seems like he's, I don't know if he's in a rough spot, but it seems like kind of a very personal, like type situation that he's been going through that I just don't really want to, I kind of I try not to be one of those channels that like, sort of, profits off of like,
the downfall of people and shit, like people having a rough patch type thing. It gets into the paparazzi vibes almost,
Exactly. I try not to be like, look at this guy's drug problem. It's crazy. Like, it's like
that video would hit, to be fair, but we've all got to wrestle with where our morals lie within that, because a lot of people do capitalize on that sort of thing. For sure. But, it's
to be fair, that's some of the biggest channels. It's kind of what. They're
Sunny V2s and stuff like that. Like that's people eat that shit up. Like
it works.
People love that sort of stuff. But I don't know, man.
I don't think it would fit you though as a person. Like as your vibe and you're like super genuine. You talk about what you love. I feel. I'm not sure how much you would. I think it would be easy to see that you feel bad for him, and it's more like you know what I mean. Like I don't think it would come like. You're not the dude who's like, look at this guy, like he sucks. It wouldn't be that. Like I think it would almost be sad. Like you would be like, I don't know, like I wish he's okay. Like
which isn't a video that's fun. No. It's like not worth making, right? Like
right, exactly. If there at least
isn't something on the other side of that, or like before or after. But at the point where you've already done a series on the dude type thing, you've already went through a bunch of the stuff. If all you're left with is the negative stuff, the parts of his life that he's not doing well. It's like, well, what is there even to talk about here? You know? Like,
exactly. Besides, it would have to be like, I would, like turn it into some kind of like crazy scandalous looking story, which I think I'm just not there. There is so much of that on YouTube. And at least at this point, I try not to do that, and I know that like my channel would probably be bigger if I did try to be more like dramatic and sensational, but I don't know. At this point in time, like I try to be more of a channel that's just fun and chill and like literally cozy, not to be corny, but like, you know what I mean? Like kind of just like, look, I try to be more like, here's some like interesting stuff that I found. Like, here's like an interesting story of this band. It's not like, I don't want to be like, the downfall of this guy or whatever, I don't know. It's just like, I feel like there's enough of that on YouTube and it's not something I'm interested in, I'm just not that type of guy, I guess. It doesn't make me feel good.
Like I've been saying that
we're all three in that same boat. Yeah.
Like because the bands I'm covering, of course, there are some negative stuff, that's part of it. I could have emphasized on that a lot. And every single time I'm like, nah, I want to just talk about what I enjoy, like put, judgment aside or whatever. Talk about music, what happened with the band, what's the experience with that. And to your point, the fact that your channel is like that can be very comforting for people. I know because I was part of them. Like when I was watching the first time I've watched like the Asking Sindri, it was actually kind of I was in a, I don't know, like not the best part of my life maybe. And it's very comforting to be like in that world, to go back in time, to, like to see those old MySpace era kind of stuff. Like, I think it's very comforting for people. So if you would, go into, I don't think it would be you even. Like, I feel like it makes sense what you do. You do what you want to do. And you've built an audience that basically we don't have any expectation. It's more like, I wonder what he's going to talk about next kind of thing. You could talk about freaking country. I would be like, okay, let's do it. Like it's, and I feel like there's a big value in that. Of course, there's a whole part of me who's like, is he going to talk about metalcore in the future? Is he going to go back there? But at the same time, I'm like, just do what you enjoy, man. Like that's the important. If you do things that you don't enjoy, I don't know. I feel like that's when you stop. You won't post as much. It won't be enjoyable. It's going to be like, you need to do what you enjoy, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And thank you for saying that. I'm glad that, thank you, man. That's awesome. Yeah, no, totally. And like, I think that, I've kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of at a place where I'm like, okay with being, how would I put it? Like, I'm okay with not being a gigantic YouTube channel or like going for like massive videos. I'm kind of like, I kind of had an era of that like a couple years ago where I was like, all right, let's just go for, kind of, not
choosing
like
subject matter is based on what you think might work better. Stuff
there's
like
a
that.
hype on that.
Yeah.
It's, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And doing more, there have been videos I've done in the past that like I did because people in my comments would like be like, I want to see a video about this band. And I'd be like, okay, like I'm not even really like huge on that band personally, but sure, I'll do it. And that kind of like, I don't know. I had a period where I kind of had a little bit of like a almost like identity crisis or something because the channel started out as something very personal to me, and there was a point where I saw that it had potential to like, what if I can make this thing, fucking gigantic or whatever. And I kind of started playing the YouTube game more because it just felt like the right thing to do. It felt like, well, it felt like, no one really gets an opportunity to try to make a YouTube channel actually work. Like it felt like a very once in a lifetime kind of thing. Yeah. But once I started kind of playing the YouTube game more, I guess, so to speak, it really kind of, I don't know, it messed me up a little bit. I just felt weird about it, and it kind of felt like I wasn't really like doing me. So in the past year or so, I've really kind of, for better or for worse, just tried to do what I'm genuinely interested in. And, I have an audience who seem to just really like, I have more of a like smaller audience, but that all of them are really into like what I do, it seems like. And I'm really thankful for that. And I'm really like comfortable with where I'm at right now. I'm not really trying to, just gain as many views as possible. I kind of just like, I'm like, okay, I've got people that like rock with me, and that's awesome. And it's kind of almost gone back to where the channel was when I first started, which is just kind of like a personal expression of like stuff that I find interesting. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I don't know if any of that, like that I just described, has really been obvious to people like watching the channel, because I don't really talk about that kind of stuff in my videos or whatever. But that's kind of like, I don't know, that's kind of been a little secret journey I've been on.
Well, I kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Like watching your channel, from my perspective, it was like, oh, this dude is talking about what he wants to talk. Like from my point of view, it was like, okay, he feels like talking about more, but because I remember a story you made and you said like, I feel like talking about the pop artists a little bit, stuff like that. And I was like, do it. Like you have this audience of people just being like, do you, like, who cares? And but I do understand, because if I'm being completely transparent here, I'm kind of on my channel right now, I'm kind of in a little row of videos like working, and I see that I'm a bit more like, the choice I'm making is a little more according to, I think this is going to do well, as opposed to certain videos I did, like, I love this band, let's do it. Like, not that I don't like it. I'm fortunate enough that I love these bands, but, and I know Dom fully knows that that's what I'm doing right now, but like, I understand your perspective, because it feels different when you start kind of being aware of that. Oh my God, okay, this is doing better, and this, and my friends keep telling me, dude, you gotta, like, it's gonna come with time, do what you like, just and put it up. Like, you're gonna obsess with this. It's not because you don't have many views that it's a bad video. Like, so I'm kind of I'm in this kind of like place. So I can feel you on that. Like, it becomes kind of almost an obsession to be like, is it gonna do well? Am I putting the effort on something that's gonna work with people?
Right. And I will say to you, Yan, I've seen the last few videos you've put up have been doing really well. That's awesome. Like, congratulations to you.
Thanks.
Fuck yeah. And I will say, man, like, for me, I think, like, kind of what I was saying of like, I had a period where I was kind of more trying to do stuff that was hype, but it wasn't really as me. Like, I don't regret doing that at the time. Like, it was kind of a learning, like, YouTube is very much, I feel like it's a learning process for everybody. A lot of it is just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. You know what I mean? And every like era that I've been through so far with it, and every like twist and turn and sort of mindset in which I've tackled it, like, even though there are ones where I'm like, that wasn't my favorite era of the channel, or like those videos, like, each period of it, was worth it. Like, cause you learn as you go. And, if there's any, like, I would say, man, just like, try not to get like, I don't know, lost along the way, or too like down on yourself about something. If you make a video and you're in a like, just kind of ride the wave, man. Ride the wave, and you'll get there. You'll figure it out. I don't know. That's
Thanks. It's just, so funny that you say that, because I'm pretty sure Dom is trying to repeat that to me like every day or 2 days. He's like,
Look, Yan, if you haven't noticed, is a very anxious dude.
Yeah.
So those types of conversations are happening all the time inside his head.
Yes. Like,
I try to ground him back, but I'm not him. So and I've got my opinions that aren't, that don't necessarily apply to him either, right? So it's like, you just kind of.
But it's a good advice.
Go through the motions,
If I'm honest, it's the right advice. Like what you just told me, my friends, literally, like my close friends are exactly this. Even use the same. He said like ride the wave, like exactly like that. He's like like he told me later on you're gonna remember that era and it's gonna be good memories. Like just enjoy.
Yes.
Like it's cool. Like because I take it as like life and death kind of thing. I'm like, okay, let's do it. If I don't do content, I'm like, I should have.
It's a very YouTuber thing to think that your next video is like the video that could kill your channel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You're like, dude. It's a funny thing. I don't know, Yan, if you've experienced this, but almost like every time I've had a video like do super well, you would think that like I would look at like a big number and be like, fuck yeah, like I'm on top. But if anything, it actually just fills me with dread because I'm like,
gotta follow it up, like the goalpost.
Yeah. What am I gonna do next? Like shit, like that's probably the last time I'm ever gonna see a number that big. Like this is it. That's it. Like, cause it's such a like you want it to be a continuous stream of like everything's going well, everyone's happy, but that's definitely something that I've learned is that no matter who you are, like no matter what level of success you're at, there's going to be ups and downs. Like you're going to have ups and then it's going to go down for a little bit and then you're going to have ups. That's how it's been for me. It's like there'll be a few months where it's great. And then there will be a few months where like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. I feel like I'm making great videos, but it's just like not like landing.
And half the times it isn't your fault, right? Like posting to YouTube specifically, you're a slave to whatever's going on there.
It's a weird platform too.
Like if it was as simple as you press publish and everyone who's subscribed to you sees your video pop up in their feed, we'd be having a different conversation, but that's not the case. So it's like all of these external factors that you cannot control, no matter how much time you put into a video, no matter if it's your best video technically or not. It could be your thumbnail is somehow fucking weird and people aren't clicking on it, but there's just all these fucking things that you can and can't control. Unfortunately, that like that's why you have to kind of distance yourself from like bad performing videos and stuff like that. It's just like it's like one thing to be able to like objectively look at something and see where you could improve and stuff like that. But I think for a lot of YouTubers, there's this thing where it's like over analyzing a video that simply did not perform because of YouTube, not because of anything.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And you really like, you can't be too hard on yourself about that kind of thing. Obviously it is, it can be disheartening, but even if there's a low point, you got to kind of find a way to even enjoy that. Like, I don't know, find a way to just be like, all right, well, this is where I'm at right now. And I'm going to keep trying my best. And like you just said, you really you're not like in control of, there's been so many times where I put up a video and I'm like, this one is gonna be a smash, like this one's gotta, and then I put it up and it's just like a complete dud and I'm like, I have no idea. And then there's times where I've put up a video and I'm like, I don't know about this one, and then it's great. Sometimes most times you genuinely have no idea. So it's I don't know, I think on YouTube, like creators looking after their own like mental health through all that should be more like talked about or more emphasized, because I know from experience how much it can like basically just fuck up your your literal mental health, like in real life. It can, and like reading all the comments, reading all these strangers' opinions about you, it can really like legitimately get in your head. And
that bleeds into the rest of your life too, right? Like it's not as simple as saying like, oh, I'm like not happy with my YouTube stuff. No, it's a whole a whole life thing,
And another thing
affects. It's like
exactly. I think that's pretty difficult. Like, not to complain, I love what they're doing, but I'm just saying, like, you cannot, like, it's fun right now talking about it with people who understands, but like, if you talk, I swear, like, I don't know you guys experience with that. If I talk about that, people are just like, dude, you're making videos on YouTube. Like in their mind, they're just like, just do videos and relax. And I'm like, that's not what's happening in my mind exactly. And I'm being very hard on myself. I've always been like, I would have a band and I would compare myself not to other local band. I would compare to the biggest band in the scene. I would like do skateboarding. I would compare myself to pro skaters. I would say like, I suck after 2 weeks of skating. Like that's me. Like it's just like, I don't have, so YouTube, I learn right now to celebrate, even if it's not like my Learner Short video, over 50,000 views. I'm like, oh my God. But like my brain, my anxiety goes very fast into, well, dude, there's people with like millions of, like, it's not, and then I'm like, I don't care. It's good for my channel. Like it's a good moment. So I'm learning to celebrate, like, just even, it doesn't have to be the biggest thing, but for me, I'm happy, like it did well. So I'm trying to take it as that, as opposed to like, well, it's still not where I should, like, I'm trying to remove that mindset from me.
That's good. Hey, Yan, is this your first video that's gotten that amount of views?
I would say that it's the first one. Yeah. I had videos
that's
around
awesome.
35,000, stuff like that. But it was mostly rare. Like they would stay in the between, like 4,000, 10,000 views, which is honestly, which is great. But the first time that I hit like,
that you hit 50 and it hit 50 like within a few days too. Like, so
I was like, what? It
like really quick became your most viewed video.
Yes, and people were talking about it, and it's cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. You're definitely on. You're like in a right time, right place moment right now for sure. Because, I mean, all your videos like look great. Like the production is fantastic. Like better than mine, like production wise, but like by far. And you also like the, deathcore is really having like a moment right now, and people are, it's awesome to see, man. I'm really stoked on what you're doing right now.
Yeah, we're surprised though. We're kind of surprised. Like it was dying in 2012. So like, it's like, what the fuck is going on? But thank you so much for saying that, by the way. Like coming from Dumb knows, by the way, every single time, the first time I sent you a mess, I look like a fanboy of like 11-year-old at a show or something. I was like, dude, he follows me on his. I think I was probably more stoked than like super big bands that I've been looking up. Like I think my biggest reaction was like, he's following me, and like, and
oh, dude, like, that's so awesome. That's so cool.
So for you to say that it's crazy. It's awesome to hear. Like I put a lot of time and effort. I'm trying to make up for me destroying the English language by the production and like images and stuff. I'm like, please forget that I'm ruining this word right now. I'm gonna put like images and stuff instead. No, but I'm the inspiration from you to just, because my vision was like, Julian seems like he's just being himself. It's him. Like I would see him in a place and he would be like he is in his videos. That's the impression that I had. So
I'm curious though. So sorry to cut you off, because I just think that's like an interesting thing, right? Because we hear this a lot. It's a thing, and especially on YouTube. I mean, that used to be a bigger thing. Now it's kind of coming back, but like authenticity and like being yourself. Like it's one thing to say you want to be authentic and you want to be yourself, but I think there's something to it. Like I haven't fully been myself in front of a camera until I hit my 30s. And you know, was making videos before and probably trying to be authentic, but ultimately, like, it's not as easy as just like, oh, I'm just gonna be myself today in front of a camera. There's like something about a camera being there,
it's
right?
Intimidating,
and
yeah,
it's intimidating, and then you know you're putting stuff online as well, so it's like you want to be perceived a certain way. There's YouTube, you maybe play the YouTube game, like there's all these things. So I'm curious for you, maybe Julian, like, has that always kind of come naturally for you? Because I know some people, they're just always been naturally themselves regardless of, but like, was that harder for you, like throwing up the camera for the first time or doing that sort of stuff?
Love that question.
Yeah, that is a good question. That kind of makes me think, because I know that I've gotten more comfortable on camera over time, just with practice, as you know, as you would expect. And I feel like, and it's kind of hard to remember, but I feel like in my older videos, I used to put on a little bit more of like an animated YouTuber guy persona, maybe. But it was just because like I felt like that's what you have to do. So I think there was, when I was starting, it was a little bit more of like it was me, but it was a much more animated version of myself that I feel like I would kind of put on. I never feel like I went really too like crazy with it, but I think over time I've gotten more relaxed in myself, just the more that I've done it. And you know, at this point in time, like the like my favorite YouTube channels that I watch are literally like the type of channels where it's just like a guy and a camera, and it's not really this like I don't really
OG YouTube, man. That used to be such a thing, right? And
it started really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like people who are just like themselves and not really putting on like a character or something. So I feel like I try to keep it real, I guess. Yeah. And these days I mean, I've made like so many videos at this point that it is like a kind of a muscle that I've sort of flexed, that I can turn on the camera and you know.
That's funny though. Try to keep it real, right? It makes it sound like you have to put an effort into being yourself, right? Like, but it's true. It's like it's one of those weird things. True.
Yeah, I do remember like years back, I would have to redo, like I would film and have to redo it a lot more. Like now I'm can kind of just like
wing it,
wing it, and it's fine because it's like a muscle that I've worked at for a while. But I do remember like I would get really in my head about that, like in my first year or two of doing it. Like I would film something and I'd be like, wait, did that sound natural enough? Like did I like I laughed, but it was like awkward, you know, and I would refilm a lot of things.
Everybody loves their own laugh too.
I hate watching myself. It's horrible.
Like
rewatching yourself. Oh my God. Like, I sorry, but I relate so much on that. Like I'm rewatching myself and I'm like, oh no, like because the take it's done. Like, so I'm like, it's the next day. I cannot like redo it. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I said it like, it makes no sense what I said. Like, and like, yeah.
Do you ever have, sometimes I'll be like, okay, today I'm gonna work on editing this video. And then I like go to do it. And then I'm like, but I don't want to watch myself right now. Gee, like I am not in the mood to sit and watch my own stupid face. You know, like fuck. I wish I could just, you know, I don't know. I still edit all my videos myself, and that's like something I like sometimes I'm like, fuck, maybe I should just send this to someone and have them edit it. But I don't know. I'm kind of I'm very like I'm almost like a little bit of like a control freak. Like I like to just do everything myself. But sometimes there's like, I'm like, fuck, I do not want to watch myself talk right now. I feel like such a, you know, it's hard. It's hard.
Same thing, especially I feel like it's worse because of the format we're doing. It's so much of us talking, like the whole thing basically is like us talking, and like sometimes you've got like performances and interviews and stuff, but like it's mostly you talking. So like when you rewatch yourself, like when I did Lauren, I think it's like 42 minutes or something, and I was like, I've got 42 minutes of me like talking, and I'm watching like the part I enjoy the process, but the part I don't like, I keep saying it, is at the end. It's like uploaded to YouTube, everything is fine, copyrights, everything is settled, and now I need to rewatch everything, and I'm like, oh my god,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, and you're like, fuck, I gotta sit down and spend 45 minutes like watching my own video. Like it's literally like I almost like hate it. Like I go into it with such dread. Because I like, my favorite part of the process is like writing the script for it. Like researching. I love researching and watching the live videos, watching interviews, getting all the information, and then writing my script for it. That's like the part that I love. And over time, the filming process has gotten easier for me. So I like doing that too, but it's really like editing and then watching it back that has me filled with the most, like, I don't know, like I don't hate it, but you know what I mean? It's just like, like that's the part where I'm like, all right, now it's like work. Now I gotta like work on it.
And you gotta be, the problem with that also is the fact that you need to, it's not like you can watch and you're on your phone. You need to watch everything. Like it's your video you're about to post. So you need to watch like all the transition, everything. Like, is everything okay? Like sometimes it happened. I swear with my Lorna video, I had to re-export everything because I muted one thing in the middle of the, like one little thing. I was like, you're kidding me. It was like Michael Scott in The Office doing like a little drum roll. I'm like, oh my god, I need to re-upload everything. So like, so you need to be careful because if you just put it like that and you're just kind of, you're gonna miss these little things. So not only do you have to watch yourself, but you need to watch yourself even with more concentration that you would do with a regular video. So it's worse. You're like, you're watching yourself,
and
the fact
that you've already watched it before too, right? It's like you're watching a movie for the 10th time at that point. You're like, I know how this story ends. Like, give me a break.
You've watched it, you've written it, you've performed it, you've edited it, like all this, and then now, and then right when you're at the end of the editing process, you're like, all I want to do is just like be done with this and never see it again. Like I just want to put it up. But that fun, because it's like the sort of thing. And this is kind of, kind of a side note, but something I sort of tell myself when I find myself like kind of, if I start to like rush a video or be like, okay, I gotta like get this out soon. So let's maybe, I find myself starting to like cut corners. I'm like, wait a minute, like this video, once I put it up, it's up there forever. I mean, obviously you could delete it or you whatever, but let's just say hypothetically, it's once you put it up, it's up. Like, like years will go by, and and if there's like a mistake in that video or something, it's like you can't like what are you gonna do? So that's something I try to remind myself, not in like a stressful way, but just in a way to be like, okay, like even though it's stressful to watch it back and to take all this time doing it, it will be worth it once it's up, because that like you really took the time to make sure that it's there's nothing that you're gonna regret about it later. You're
not gonna have nightmares in 5 years about the black frame you left in one of the latest
you described the whole thing basically, because that's what happened with Lorna. Like I'm telling you, if I would have said like, fuck it, the little clip is muted, I don't care, it would bother me so much now that it's my best performing video. I would be like, oh no, I should have taken like a few minutes and just like redo it. So I'm like, if you do something, do it something like, it's better to post it maybe a few days later, but it's exactly what you wanted, to post it like now just for like, I want to like, because you're excited, right? You want to put it out there, but like at the same time, if you're gonna regret certain things in it, like it happened to me that I would wait. Like I think Dom, you remember, I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna post it like next Monday. Who cares? I'm gonna take time to whatever.
That works until you have sponsors and deadlines, though. That's all I'll say about that.
That's a good. It's another, but it's a kind of a good problem at the same time. The question I was about to ask is basically, I was always wondering that, because ever since I started my YouTube, I relate a lot on my close circle, like Dom, for example, like my close friends and stuff. Like I keep asking, like, what did you, I don't make them watch by force, but like when they watch it, I'm like, what did you think? Like, is there something you think I should, improve? Like, what did you notice? Like, did it feel like it's fully myself? Because the best people to know if it's me is my close circle, right? Like, if they would tell me. So did you, like, was that kind of a part of the process? Like, your people around getting like some feedback, or it was mostly like your comments and stuff? I would be curious.
Yeah, I think at this point, like right now, I'm pretty much like, if I'm happy with it, then it's all good. But I think back when I was first starting, I would, or not first starting, like kind of, the first like few years of it, really, I would do that. Yeah, I would like, ask my friends and like read a lot of comments, and really, I definitely kind of made change. There's definitely something kind of interesting about how you'll get a comment that's maybe like literally like it's like a hate, like a hater, like a hate comment, like somebody being like, yo, you fucking idiot or whatever. But like, you read the comment and then there might actually be some like good advice in there, though. Like, if you take away the like them calling you like a dumb motherfucker, like they might actually be like, you like fucking talk with your hands too much, and then you'll think about it and you'll be like, yeah, maybe I do. Like, you could have said that nicer to me, but like, I don't know. But on the flip side, though, I definitely I think I used to take like comments specifically a lot more personally, and a lot more like they would kind of just reverberate in my head forever. So I think there's a balance you should have between like hearing other people's feedback versus like, do I think this is a good video? That's why
you
now
you got to know yourself first. I think is the most important thing. Like, Yan gets one guide all the time, but it's like
you have a hater.
Yeah, but like it's like all these people are saying this thing, and then I go through the comments and I'm like, there's no all these people. There's just one dude.
right, yeah.
But it's one of those things. It
feels like a ton of people, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so it's kind of like detaching yourself from that. But obviously, if you want to grow, you need to be able to parse through and like, the ones that hurt the most, ironically, are the ones that have that little semblance of truth that you right? Like, it's the ones that you're like, okay, maybe there's some truth to this. And those are the things you can usually start to improve upon. But yeah, if someone's just insulting you, it's like, or whatever. And ultimately, you're not going to please everyone. People are not going to like you for who you are. And it's like, I am who I am. What the fuck you want from me?
But I think you have a point, though. Like, some of these people, it might sound harsh, but then you think about it and you're like, that's kind of true. Like, I remember one guy said, it was very mean the way he said it, but like somewhere in the comment, he said that I was like doing too many cuts in my video, and it was true. To be honest, like I was so kind of like self-conscious about my accent, the way I talk. So like I would cut, like sometimes I would say one word and it cuts. Like it would be like click, click, click. So like it was breaking the natural feel. And even my friends, they were like, dude, he's kind of right. Like it would be better to hear you maybe not sounding perfect, but longer takes. So it would show more of your personality. And I don't know if Dom, you noticed, but like my past videos, I was trying to make like longer takes and more, like I would redo it completely, but talk more and first of all, it's more enjoyable, and second of all, it at the end it's better content. So like it started from a comment that I was like, what is he talking about? And then I was just like, that's true. He was an asshole the way he said it, but like that's actually true. So
it's so funny to me too, because like we'll do these 2-hour long podcasts. And like, there's no cuts, everything's A-okay, right? But it's so different than like recording a video where you've got to like deliver these things. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, it's because, I don't know for you, Julian, but like, as you're watching it's so difficult to disconnect yourself from you and trying to be your audience, being like, would I enjoy that? It's so difficult to do, but I'm always trying to do that. I'm like, would that be annoying to me, or would it be fine? But then I look at myself and everything is annoying. So I'm like, it's terrible. But after that, I'm like, no, it's because I'm watching myself. So
right. I know it's hard to find that, it's kind of like finding a balance, right? Of like, because you also don't want to become too self-conscious in the way of like you read what people have to say about you and you change everything about your personality to like, you don't want to do that either to like please some asshole in your comments. But you also don't, if there is something like, I don't know, something going like, so I'll tell you. So I have like a really similar story, Yan, to what you just said. I like just the way that I am, the way that I talk, I laugh a lot. I'm a very like, I don't know why. I'm just a guy. I laugh.
You're just a little giggly guy.
I'm just literally. I don't know why. I don't think I even noticed it before doing like YouTube. But in a lot of my old videos, I guess I would laugh a lot. Like there's a lot of laughter coming from me because I don't know. I didn't like. I don't know. That's just how I talk. That's just how I am. And a lot of the comments would be. It's funny because there were a certain percentage of people that would be like, oh, like, I love your laugh. It's like cute. You're such a fun guy. And then there would be like another percentage of people who just did not vibe with my laughter at all. People who were just like, you need to stop fucking laughing right now. It's the most annoying thing ever. And I remember being self-conscious about that. Like it made me self-conscious in a way that like I hadn't felt since I was in like middle school or something. Like it felt like middle school, like bullying almost. Cause it was like, man, I'm not doing that. Like I'm not even laughing at my own jokes or anything. It's just kind of how I talk. But I kind of like, there was a period, there was a time where I was kind of like, okay, you know what? It's funny. I'm trying to remember. It's kind of a while ago, but I think there was a comment that was like someone mentioned my laughing, but they weren't being like mean about it. They were just saying, they very respectfully said, hey, like, I love your videos, but maybe you could edit out some of the laughing here and there just because it can be a little distracting. And I was like, I think before that, like in earlier periods of the channel, I would have been like, fuck you. Or I would have not like say fuck you to the guy, but just been like, like, ignored it. Like, but I was like, you know what? Like maybe they got a point. So after that, I didn't take it in a way where I was like, okay, I'm going to change the way I am and completely stop laughing or never laugh in any of the videos. But I was like, you know what? Let's like edit out maybe 60% of the times that I laugh or something, or like if it's unnecessary, let's take it out. Or maybe like I would do something where I would like start to laugh, but I would like cut it so you could tell that I was like laughing, but you don't have to like listen to me laugh. I don't know. I did kind of start being like, oh, I could see how that could be distracting to somebody. So I did like alter it that way. And like, I almost think that now like my videos have become more refined because of me sort of taking that advice. But again, it's a double-edged sword because you also don't want it to change just the way that you are or make you self-conscious about how you are. So it's a tricky thing, man.
But you have these two camps that are polar opposites, right? Regardless of which way you go, the other camp's not going to be content with it. So it's like,
right. Yeah, and
what do you do with that information? You know?
Exactly. And I'm the complete opposite of that guy. Like, first of all, I don't know how happy he is, but like for me, like, but for real, like, hey man, stop laughing. I don't know. But like, I was watching, that's something that I enjoyed because it falls into the personality part that makes a video stand out to me. Like, because to me, it means that you're enjoying yourself right now. If you're laughing, you're talking, and to me it comes across as like, oh, he likes doing, not that usually I think that you don't, but like it's kind of okay, cool. He's at a good place. Like it's a good vibe. Like it's comforting. It's cool. But it's funny to me how the same video can be a completely different experience for some people. Like there's two, like for that person, it was distracting. Like it took time to write, so it must be true. Like for him, he was like, why is he laughing so much? Like it was like something for him. I didn't even think about that. I was just like, that's a cool video. So it's so weird how people are picking up. Somebody last week, like I had a little dog. I was babysitting a dog. I love animals and stuff. Good. And it's like my best friend's dog, and she only trusts me with it. So I was like, I'm gonna film my video. He's like a baby, wants to be next to me. So he was right there. So I'm starting my video. I swear to God, it takes like 4 seconds in my video. I'm just like, hey, so that you know there's a chair because I have this little guy here, super cute. Put it right there. Do my video. At some point, I just
literally like that, like no exaggeration. No. Like that's the amount of time it takes up in the video. 4 seconds.
I have this comment, and he's so angry. He's like something I don't remember, but it's like your fucking dog sucks, like every other dog, something like that. I'm like, oh my God, like crazy. A dog hater, like seriously, and.
No, but that comment wasn't the good one. The comment was more. There was another comment that was more along the lines telling you to not show your dog anymore because it had nothing to do with the video and how dare you type thing.
Yes.
I'm like, dude,
in capital letters, your video, like the comment was like, your video would have been good, but please keep your dog out of it. I'm like,
dude, that's insane.
Oh no, like 15-minute video about Lorna Shore, like
that's ridiculous. I know I relate to that so hard. YouTube comments have blown my mind over what some people find annoying or worth commenting on or like get angry about. It's insane. The things that like there'll be something in the video, like I'll post a video and like something that I didn't even know happened, something that I didn't even know I said or whatever. And yeah, someone will leave someone's like pissed, like all capitals, like just
triggered.
I'm like, are you, it's crazy. Cause when I think about like, I very rarely like leave comments on YouTube videos that I watch in general. And when I do, it's usually like something nice. It's usually like,
that's what the expectation would normally be of why someone would want to leave a comment on a video, right? Like, to me, that's kind of the purpose of the comment section.
Your dog sucks. Like what? Like,
dude, holy shit. It's also like when you look at it from like a greater perspective, it's like, okay, this is a free YouTube, like you are watching this video for free on the internet. And you also like, no one's forcing you to watch it. You can skip ahead or skip back at your leisure. You know, you are like, and then, you know,
he's going to be mad when Tien starts having ad reads. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, because I've been super nice. Never any ads in the middle of my video, only at the beginning or at the end. I'm very like, and even then I've got some comments like, oh, you've got, I'm like, okay. But like what I'm trying to understand, trying to realize more is there's no way, even if you would be perfect, there's someone somewhere who's going to be like, you suck. Like, it's just
exactly, that's
how it is. Like, it's always going to happen. And the more you have views, the bigger the amount of those people are coming in.
100%. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not just amount of views too. I think when something goes viral, especially when it starts to, because you could yourself have a bigger channel and sure that it'll kind of come up. But once regardless of size, once it reaches outside of your subscriber base is a lot of the time where there's maybe people who like inherently weren't there to watch something like a video of yours type thing that stumble upon your stuff. And those are usually the people that ultimately leave angry comments and like, who the fuck cares? Like they weren't going to enjoy it regardless. Like the video just wasn't for them. But
exactly, it's not going to be like one of your like biggest fans.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's
the
not
people that actually matter. No. Yeah, it's not them.
They don't even
Yeah,
subscribe. Like they came in and they're just like, that's what they do. I'm sure they do that to like 50 channels. They're just like, you suck. You're terrible. What the fuck is your dog? Like that's their day. Probably.
Yeah. And they maybe don't even like internalize or really think that like there is actually another human being on the other end of this that's probably going to read what you wrote and might like, like Yan, I feel the same way as you. I'm like in real life, I'm a pretty like anxious, like kind of introverted, like sort of shy person. I don't really have the thickest skin for that kind of stuff, to be honest. So it's kind of been, it's a tough thing. And kind of going back to something I said earlier, that's kind of why now at this point, I'm very much like, all right, if I am happy with this video, that's all that matters. I don't really care about like, I'm at this point, I don't care if I'm some gigantic YouTube channel or anything like that. I just like, I have my audience that likes me. I'm comfortable with the level that I'm at, and I'm just going to do my thing and not get too in my head about all this stuff, because it's very easy to, I don't know, kind of just almost like wreck your mental health in a way, getting too into all the, all the different facets that come with, running a YouTube channel. Like there's a lot of things, like when we were talking about the analytics and the views going up and down and people criticizing you, it's like, it can really be a lot to take on. And I think it's like, I don't know, it's important to just like, it's easier said than done, but have a balance with it. Just, I don't know. I don't even really know what I'm saying right now, but it's just no,
it makes sense. Like I go through that. Like if I'm honest, I go through that like on a daily basis. Like I'm gonna watch everything they do is stressful. Like it's a good tool, but like your last 10 performing videos, and then it's
YouTube
like
analytics is so fucking dog shit for that sort of stuff. I hate it so much, dude. The way it ranks with your 10 latest videos, and
I'm like
the certain analytics that we get that are like kind of irrelevant to the big picture and what you're actually trying to achieve. Like I don't know, man.
No, it's the same for me. Like, and I wanted to ask you something also, like because we're talking about the haters, but I would like to take like a moment to. No, it's fine. I love talking about that stuff, but I mean, like, it's. Did it happen? I'm sure it happened, but like. I got a few times like almost kind of emotional, when these messages, like people saying that your videos like help them and stuff, like I would be curious to know, like, because I'm sure it happened, like how it made you feel. Like, does that feel like kind of unreal that you make like such a big difference in their life and stuff like that? Or
oh yeah, dude, 100%. It's I do get messages like that. Like, I've heard that like a surprising amount of times that people will tell me that like, I was going through a tough time and your videos like helped me out. It's like, I don't know. It's really crazy, man. It's one of those things I really don't have like words for. I almost can't even really comprehend it because, for me, I'm just like in my room, just putting stuff together like just for fun. And then I don't know, it's almost like definitely like the most just gratifying thing for me is hearing things like that. And I really don't know how to, it's crazy, it kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like, man, that's so fucking cool. I never thought that would happen. I don't even know.
It's not something you think, like, like you're like, thank you even for watching. It's like, it blows my mind that even people take time to watch a 40-minute video. So I guess it's the same thing for you, right? You're like, not only did he watch, but like, apparently I changed like a period of time in his life. Like it's hard to comprehend. It's like, what? It's
really hard to comprehend. And it's really like, that is the thing genuinely that like probably, I mean, at this point, like, I genuinely love just making videos, period. Like, it's really become like a genuine, like, passion of mine. I have a lot of fun doing it. So that keeps me going, but also like those people who tell me those things, because that, you know, the channel has helped them or whatever, because I watch YouTube too. I have, you know, channels that I'm a big fan of, that I know the feeling, you know. I have YouTube channels that I watch that, like, I'll be having a shitty week and I watch this person, I just binge their videos, and something about their vibe and just what they do just helped me through that week. It helped me stay comforted. I know what that feels like. It's bizarre and almost like weird to think that there's people watching my channel in that way. I almost like can't think too hard about it, because it's like, it's almost like, it's like, wow. But like, that's something that I do kind of, I don't know, it just, it's very gratifying, I guess. You know, it's really cool. I don't even know. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, because it's like, I still remember the first time that happened. Like, I see this comment. I mean, it was like big. I'm like, at first, honestly, I was expecting, I'm like, he's going to destroy me, probably. Like, I'm like, the comment was big. I'm like, it's over. Like, he's going to say that I'm the absolute worst. And I start reading, and sometimes people share quite a lot about their life in a comment. I was surprised about that too. Like, I don't think I would, like, I'm very open, but I don't think I would in a comment say like, I went through this and this. Like, I don't think I would do that. But like, some people, you know, it's kind of an output. Like, they go there, and the first time I read that, I was like, oh wow, okay, it's a big deal. Like, it's still hard for me to even consider myself like, okay, you know, when people are like, hey, you're my favorite YouTuber, I'm like, what? Like,
right. You know, it's almost like, it feels like you're like a band. Like, it feels like you're like a popular band, because it's like I'll like read a comment like that, like, and I've had that thought of like, I've seen these comments on like music videos from like giant bands. Like, how does somebody think of my fucking shit? Like, it's so funny. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's wild. You almost want to respond like, I'm just a dude. Like, I'm just like, I took time. I worked on a video. Like, that's kind of I always say like, just like, thank you so much for and everything. But it's mind blowing. Like, there's these comments certainly is a big part. I feel like for a lot of people, like, to just keep doing it. Like, wow, like, holy shit, like it's, you know, it's actually, you know, doing some good, even if I'm talking about a 2009 deathcore band. Like, it seems to be, you know, appreciated.
Exactly. So, you gotta remember those, you know, if there's a negative comment bothering you, like, you gotta remember like, hey, well, you know, Sherry in Illinois is having a better week because of my videos. I got to do it for that person, and not like, you know,
not the Doug hater.
Exactly. Hey, Yan, I have some questions for you. Can I flip this around real quick? I'm curious.
Turntable. Let's go.
I want to turn the table real quick, because I'm you know, so you're in a very interesting spot right now from my perspective, because you're having some videos do well. You've got an audience that you're kind of building up, and you're you know, I guess like where do you think, either where are you planning, or where do you think you're going to go from here next? Like, are you going to keep riding the wave, or like, what are your like goals for the future? I'm curious.
It's a good question, and I'm not used to receive questions. It's cool. Like, actually, the way I see it right now, it's first of all, it's still, I'm still having a hard time even realizing that many people, because like, I was talking with my friends, and they told me, Yan, just take 1 second. Imagine 17,000 people in the room, or even 50,000 people who watch your video. Put that in the room right now. Like, just realize it's a lot of people. It's not because YouTubers have like millions of views that it's not a lot. And I was like, holy shit. Like, so I took a moment, and I was like, okay, yeah, like there's, and I have such a good ratio, by the way, like tons of comments. I don't have the biggest channel, but like so much engagement. I think you have something similar going, but like what I mean is like, I wasn't expecting that. So the way I see it, To be, if I'm completely honest, I want to keep going on like being a little more strategic, but choosing things that I really love. Like, because even if like it was like intentional to choose videos that would probably do well, it's still bands that I respect and then I love. Like I did Infant recently. I don't want to say the other word. I'm every time I'm butchering their name. And Lorna, like I talked with them in the beginning. I'm like, I should do that. So I'm trying to be conscious of like not falling into doing videos that I kind of don't want to do, but still being kind of okay, maybe it's gonna like still aiming for like, yeah, because there's a momentum, I think, like you said. So I want to write it, but I'm still, it's very hard to explain. Like I'm trying every day to not put too many expectations, because as you said, it's high and lows. It could be 1 week, could go well for 2 months. Like you never know. So like I'm trying to be better and better in each video, you know, in terms of production and everything. So it's more of I'm happy. I'm super grateful. I'm trying to notice what works, but it's kind of a big balance of like, I need to still enjoy it though. I need to still enjoy it.
You're a pretty video by video and even at that day by day type of guy when it comes to your videos. Like I've had Yan's, for context, I've had Yan send me thumbnails for what he thought was going to be his next video, and then that's not the next video that comes out because halfway through the week he's like, oh, I actually I want to talk about this other band instead, and then he goes and does that, right? So I think there's a bit of that as well that kind of keeps it to your point. Like you're just doing what you want, like sure there are like moments where you could be like, okay, I think this band would be a good thing to cover because it fits the niche. It's something I'm interested in. I think it's maybe a bigger band that would attract maybe more people, yada, yada. But ultimately in the same week, you might decide to just do another video instead because you were more motivated to do something else ultimately.
Yeah, like that's, and I'm sorry, my answer was so like freaking vague, but it's kind of where I'm at, meaning like,
but then long term, I'm curious about this too, because he asked like where do you see it going?
Nowhere. No, I'm kidding. No, but for real, like I see, yeah, it's done. It's over. I'm
no more YouTube channel. This is it.
As we're talking, I'm deleting everything. Right here. I'm currently deleting video per video. No, but long term, it's actually a tricky question because I feel like and not to go too spiritual because I can go there, like I feel like if you look too far and you're just like seeing yourself there and stuff like that, I'm afraid that it would come out as too hungry for views and stuff. So I'm trying to really stay in the moments. But if you ask me like, where do you, I really believe in what I'm doing right now. Like not in a braggy way. I don't want to be like, I'm amazing. I'm just saying like, I genuinely believe that there's like something cool going. Seems to be resonating with the deathcore community. I don't feel like there's many channel like mine in our niche. Like, I mean, deathcore, like there's not many. Yeah. So, and like, there's tons of other bands. Like there's so much to explore. So I feel like if I keep going and I'm consistent, because I upload quite, like I do like kind of big videos, but not too far off. Like it takes me like 1 week and a week and a half, 2 weeks max to post. So if I keep going like that, I personally feel like it could go like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be at like Finn or whatever, but like I feel like it could become something more. That being said, I love where I'm at. Like right now, like honestly, I love like the community we have right now, or Discord, like this, what we're doing. I'm talking with you, like you're my inspiration for my channel. We're talking right now. Like I love where I am. I've met a lot of my idols, like Suicide Silence, Carnifex. I don't want to spoil the next guest, so I can't. But like it's been amazing. So what I'm trying to do instead of regretting later and being like, I should have appreciated the journey and not seeing, I'm trying to be in the moment and be like, that's awesome now. Let's be grateful every day. And
yes, yeah.
That's kind of my, I don't know if it answered, it was very vague, but like, that's kind of my.
No, I love that, dude. I think that's a great mindset to try to have, because it's, I think, I remember times where I had a lot of like, I would be having successful videos going and I got too caught up in like thinking about, well, this guy's doing better than me. And but it's not, I'm not here to this next level yet or whatever. And, kind of looking back and being like, man, like, that's why now for me, I'm a lot more like comfortable with where I am and happy for just what I have. Like, that's it's almost like this it can relate to YouTube. It can also relate to like music, being in a band, really any like creative endeavors. Like it's kind of hard to just be content with where you are. Yeah. Like, one thing I've learned is like your definition of success does not have to be the same as somebody else's. You can be happy. Like, you can just say, I get this amount of views per video, and that's awesome. Yeah. It's not, the biggest thing ever. I'm not like, this crazy giant thing, but maybe stop and ask yourself, like, do I really want to be this giant internet guy? Like, would that really be better than like the kind of pocket that I'm in right now? Because I think if you think about bands, right? Because I kind of relate like YouTube trajectories to bands trajectories a lot. I think it just kind of, I'm a music guy, like, first and foremost. So it's kind of how my brain works. But like, you look at like I think of like Every Time I Die, right? As like, well, obviously they're not around anymore. They had some shit happen and then they broke up. But
we're huge though. Yeah.
So for like 20 years though, that to me is like, what they had is like my definition of like, kind of just like, that's my definition of success, to put it in a way, or like what I would aspire to be on YouTube, because they were never
they were kind of always the underdogs. Always.
They never were like the biggest band in the scene or anything. But what they did was, I mean, they were obviously very big, like everyone knows about them, but they were never like, they kind of hit a certain mid-level and just rode that mid-level the entire time. They didn't ever really go up or down. They kind of just had their core following. They never they got better at being Every Time I Die. They never really like changed for the trends that were coming in and out of like heavy music. They were always just getting better at being Every Time I Die and servicing their fans. And you could look at them and say, well, but they never they never signed to a major label. They never like charted high on Billboard. But like, you look at a band that it's kind of the opposite for, and I'm going to use like Sleeping with Sirens as an example, because they've always been successful. Like, they're still a big band, but I think of them, that's an example of a band that like really quickly, like, they put out their like first album and then within a couple years got massive, like became, like 2012, 2013, Sleeping with Sirens was like practically fucking like Fall Out Boy level, like not Fall Out Boy, not like arenas, but like
for post-hardcore specifically, like they were top of the game.
Exactly. They basically hit the utmost top of the ceiling that you could possibly hit if you're a band that sounds like that. And in my opinion, obviously they're still going, they're still a big band, but it kind of went like this after that. They never really stayed at that place or lived up to where they were at the time. And although the success level that Sleeping with Sirens hit seems to be what people people
they would aspire
want
to.
That. Yeah, everyone like wants that top spot, but it's like wait a minute, but they didn't like, that wasn't like good for them. If anything, it kind of fucked up. Like they never were able to hit that level again.
Success, yeah.
They never recovered. Exactly. Yeah. It was just kind of down after that versus like, I want to be fucking Every Time I Die, man. Cause while they never hit that height, they stayed at the same level the whole time and were always just doing them. Like that's kind of, I don't know, sorry to go off on such a long thing.
I love that. Love the analogy. It's true though.
And second of all, I don't think you did Sleeping in with Sirens on your channel. Did you? I don't think you did. There's stories. Did you?
I actually did a long time ago. I think like maybe my second or third video ever was actually about Sleeping with Sirens, but that's one that I would actually like literally like could possibly redo because it's like so long ago that it probably, I don't know, like literally most people probably haven't seen it. It's like so far back, but yeah, I don't know.
It would be a cool review. I actually like the band. I think his voice is very unique, and they have like very catchy stuff. They're pretty cool.
Our Sleeping with Sirens, a fluke is the perfect title for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There you go. Even back then, I was like, I wasn't even like relating it to YouTube or whatever, but I was like, hey, their career kind of like they got huge and hit the ceiling, and then they that was kind of it. Like again,
But I think it was a good point that you made, by the way. Like I feel like sometimes what you pictured that would be the dream is basically your downfall. Like you think it's gonna get better, and then it's worse. Like it plays against you. But sometimes when you're just the consistent, just kind of with a cult following, close to your fans, like kind of just like you're writing, you're not trying to be, you're yourself. It works. That's it. Sometimes in the long run, it pays off more, and
it really is that music analogy. How many like on a really basic level, how many bands have you seen being like the life completely sucked out of from signing a bad record deal?
Yeah.
Right? Like the thing that they thought was going to be them taking them to the next level, and then ultimately just fucking them over royally and kind of sabotaging their entire career and never recovering from it. Right? Like it happens all the fucking time. So it's like, I think it's always kind of been about that, like slow growth. There really is something about that. Like I feel like a lot of bands see labels in that way, and YouTubers will see a viral video in that way. It's like the get rich quick scheme, right? Yes. It's like how can I game the system? How can I take like 5 steps instead of just doing the 1 step at a time type thing?
Exactly.
And and I think that applies to so much stuff in life.
Totally, yeah, because I've kind of realized more recently, I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Like it sounds like an awesome idea to be, the top dog in what you're doing. But like, think about it realistically. Like, is that really what you want? Like, because also, again, like if we're going back to, a lot of the sort of Warped Tour bands that I've covered that got famous really fast. I mean, we'll go back to what we were talking about initially, Danny Worsnop, he got really famous really young, and like he was never the same again. Like it kind of completely changed him. And obviously, like we're saying, there's a lot of factors into that, drugs and other stuff, but like it's, sometimes you gotta, think about it realistically. And also like if you do blow up on the internet or in a band or whatever, there's so much emphasis on blowing up, but a lot of like, if you blow up, that doesn't mean that like you're just going to be on easy street forever now. And
no, that's when the real work starts, dude. That's what people don't understand. It's true though.
And the
now
stress
the pressure
is
is
way
on.
bigger.
Now there's like more expectations from people. Now there's more money involved. Like now you got to support other. You're paying for people's salaries. Like everyone likes to think that like bigger equal better, but dude,
and views matter more at this point too. Like for a YouTuber, like let's say like right now, I'm in a place where people are just mostly nice, great comments, and maybe except the Doug hater, but like usually people are nice, and like it's but you gotta understand, if I would get to the next level, the views would matter probably a little more. It would be more difficult mentally for sure, because I would be like, okay, it needs to do good. Like this, what do I do next? People would tell me that this kind of band, it sucks. Like, do that. I would be in a battle of like, do I keep doing? Do I do like more mainstream stuff? Like, am I gonna end up talking about Slipknot instead of just like, there's nothing wrong with that, but instead of talking about like deathcore stuff? So
yeah,
I've had those questions, but in my case, I think what's interesting is that nobody knows where it's going to go, because like I'm kind of I don't want to say that, but like kind of the first strictly deathcore male, like in my niche. So we just don't know where it could go. So like I'm in this place where is it even possible? Am I going to reach like a, 20,000? That's the thing. So it's interesting because I have no clue. So I'm not it's not like if I was doing videos about like, like whatever, like new metal bands or whatever, maybe one day, but like it's mostly deathcore. So we don't know. It's big, but for how long? All these, questions. So I'm in an unknown territory, I think. I don't know, Dom, what you think or
sure.
you,
No,
but
100%.
that's how I see it personally. It's exciting. That's
totally. Yeah. And that's something that I've kind of had to think about too, because when I was starting my channel, it was kind of, emo night was like already a thing, but it was still kind of new. It was kind of like I kind of hit this, like accidentally hit this good timing where it was kind of on the crest of this like emo nostalgia, revival kind of era that we've been in for a bit now. And I kind of had like, I don't know, some acts completely accidentally, I kind of hit at the perfect time when that was like kind of just starting. So, but that's something
that's what we're doing here. Same scenario, just a few years later, because deathcore came a few years later. Like there was something to
same thing, man.
Quote unquote capitalized on, like given the time frame.
Right. And like, sort of like when I think about like, where I'm going to go in the future, it's like, well, I've been trying to branch out more from just the emo stuff lately because I've kind of, I don't ever really want to like abandon that completely, but there is those questions of like, well, people have been really nostalgic for emo stuff lately, but like that might not last for like the emo nostalgia might die out the same way that emo died out.
Exactly.
And also like I could, at a certain point, it's like, I've covered every band there is to cover, or like, it might start like I even have had moments where like it starts kind of feeling monotonous. Like I'm kind of like all of these bands kind of start like I'll do like a video on a band and I'm like talking about the same tour that I was talking about in my last video.
There's like so much crossover that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it's for people like us who are in such a specific niche, like that's kind of a tricky thing to think about is like, because I do want to keep going. I don't have any plans to stop. Like I would like to keep going just indefinitely forever. I don't know. I really like doing this, but I can't just like, I also like, I don't want to turn into like a grifter, right? Like someone who's just like emo is my thing and I'm just going to milk that for all it's worth. I don't want to be that. So there's kind of that
next revival, type thing.
Right. But it's so hard. It's hard on YouTube because once you're kind of in a niche, it's really hard to branch out. So that's kind of something that I've been thinking more about is like
cozy dubstep era when.
Yeah, I know. Cause I've kind of been like, kind of my idea for that is I've been doing, I've been kind of starting to do this in the last year or so, but I want to kind of try and branch the channel out to being like, instead of being just the emo wave, kind of be more of like general pop culture from the 2000s. Cause it kind of like, it makes sense for me, I feel like it's stuff that I'm like equally as into. And it's also like, again, what we were talking about, like I did live through that time period. It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm going to talk about like 80s, I don't know, thrash metal. Like I wasn't there for that. I don't know. Like I like, you know, it's like I like all types of music. Like there's tons of stuff I listen to, but not all of it I can really talk about from a place of really knowing what I'm talking about. So I don't know. It's I think
that particularly makes sense. Like I had like in my notes here this like two-way thing specifically with like scene and like emo music and like that whole wave. I think it was one of those genres that went into the mainstream to a certain extent with like, you know, the Fall Out Boys, AFIs and stuff like that. Like we're actually like mingling with actual celebrities and stuff like that, which was kind of mind blowing at the time. But it also went both ways in the other way as well. In a way that I don't think happens with a lot of scenes where like, because, you know, you made a video on like Soulja Boy, let's say, or Katy Perry is like a classic example that you just put out, right? But not specifically that album, but like I saw Katy Perry on Warped Tour, you know, like there's there's a lot of connection between what was mainstream and pop at that time and emo. Like Metro Station played both sides. Like it was
exactly.
There's like a bunch of this crossover that I think specifically for you makes a lot of sense, right? Whereas like for us, it's like we're talking about deathcore and metalcore. There is no mainstream crossover, right? Like it's not like there was no one talking to Kim Kardashian in a deathcore band type thing, you know? Like so it's like I think that makes a lot of sense for you. If,
it works.
You know, speaking candidly,
it works.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for saying that. Yeah, that's kind of like, you know, in terms of like the future or like what I'm kind of going to try to do next, it's kind of going to be like exactly like you said, try to branch out into like more pop culture stuff that also can almost always be traced back to emo in some way. But I was also like the closest you guys could get to that, I mean, is like, I don't know what, like Kill Switch Engage or like that whole wave of like Lamb of God and stuff. Yeah. I actually, you know, real quick, I actually wanted to bring that sort of wave up to you guys. Now, I want to take advantage of being on the Brutality podcast because so here's a little kind of fun fact. I actually didn't really grow up like I wasn't like a metal kid when I was growing up. I was more on the sort of, you know, obviously emo, but more like punk and like alternative rock side of the coin. I never got into like Metallica or that kind of stuff growing up. The first actual like kind of metal that I really ever heard, like funnily enough, was like the crabcore stuff, like attack and you know, Bring Me the Horizon. You know, that was the first time I'd ever heard breakdowns or screaming or any of that stuff. That was my introduction to metal as a whole. And that being said, even like when I was in high school, I was listening to obviously a lot of that stuff, but for some reason, and I almost regret this now, but when I was younger, I never looked back on like the metalcore that came before that, like As I Lay Dying and Kill Switch and you know, those kind of bands. I never started doing that until within the past like couple years. And I got a couple years ago, I got really into, so Kill Switch Engage they're like one of my favorite bands now. I completely missed them, but I like just got into Kill Switch Engage like not that long, like a couple years ago. And the last couple years I've been getting like really into all that like late 90s, early 2000s, like metalcore, like all that stuff, like Kill Switch, As I Lay Dying, Unearth.
Unearth are fucking awesome.
Unearth is sick.
All That
I'm trying to
Remains,
think
maybe?
All That
Under
Remains.
Road, maybe, I don't know. Under Road, did you ever?
Yeah,
you might
Under
like
Oath.
them.
Under Oath, yeah, I listened to them in high school. I got into them because they were kind of more on the emo side of things. So I did listen to them in high school, but it's really the bands that kind of didn't really have any like crossover into emo, I mean, like some of those bands, like As I Lay Dying, like Tim Lambesis had kind of like a scene look a little bit, but they didn't sing enough. Like they were, you know.
Well, okay, so there's
I needed singing. I needed like a pop.
Yeah. Okay, well, there's two things to kind of reply to that. We went through that same thing. We just continued into metal from emo and like the attack and stuff like that. Like those were our first breakdowns too. We went through that same trajectory and then somehow stumbled into deathcore, right? Like that was like the progression from like the metalcore like scene side of it. And then to speak on like the you know Tim Lambesis kind of looking like a scene kid, all the deathcore bands we listened to were scene kids making deathcore. Like that's what deathcore was. So for us, It was like just a natural progression from emo, post-hardcore, like those scene kind of bands into heavier music, but essentially scene kids making that music. Like I was in a deathcore band and I wore like purple skinny jeans, like girl pants. Like that was the wave, right? With the fucking V-necks and shit. So that was, I guess, a lot of people who got into deathcore specifically. That's kind of what the trajectory was for a lot of those people. And all those bands kind of coexisted on MySpace. And all those bands were kind of like, you had like the All-Star Tour, for example, stuff like that, where it was like a mix of metalcore and deathcore, like festival tours type things. And
that's the reason why we were being hated so much by death metal. We were like emo kids arriving on their territory, you know, with skinny jeans doing breakdowns and shit. They hated us like crazy. And even today, to be fair, like there's still like a resistance. Like it's closer, but there's still like, that's not metal. That's just so.
Yeah, right.
And to be honest, like there's a reason why I come across your channel in the first place. I've been very honest with people. I took my Spotify, you know, when they do the top of the year kind of things that you've listened to. My first one was pop punk. Like my first love is like, like I listen on a daily basis. Like the music I do is full of big squeals and crazy deathcore kind of stuff. Like, but the music I listen to in my freaking car most of the time is like the first all-time low, like coffee shop soundtrack, like Blink-182, like all these things. Like it's my first love personally. I still listen to old Panic at the Disco. I think it's still amazing, like their first albums and stuff. So there's a reason why I love your channel so much.
I think it's funny now that that's been said, because I think the crossover that we're having right now probably made way more sense for us than for you.
Yes, maybe.
In my mind, we're like we listen to all that shit, you know, like we listen to all the music that you cover and that whole scene. You know, we were there too, right? It just happens that that's not what we like cover first and foremost on our YouTubes and stuff. But
and it's totally
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, I was gonna say I mean, Yan, obviously you and I have talked before, so it's not. But it is. I was saying to like I was talking to a friend of mine about how I'm coming on this podcast. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny that I'm going on the Brutality podcast because I'm like the least brutal guy. I'm not like a metal. Like I've obviously covered like some scene kid metalcore bands on my channel, but like I'm not like Mr. fucking metalhead fucking guy. But it's cool. I think stuff like this is actually, you know, I think it's really cool. It's a cool like culture kind of. I like culture and bridging gaps and like, you know, because obviously we talk and, you know, we do have a lot of common, you know, you guys, you guys listen to a lot of pop punk. I'm telling you about how I'm been rocking with Unearth and Killswitch Engage. Like there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't even really think, you know, that you can relate over. And that's such a cool thing about just music, I guess.
And
you know,
you would be surprised. First of all, we have quite like a good amount of people in here with us, like as we're doing it. So that's super cool. And second of all, when we announced, like when we said, hey, Cozy, I'm pretty sure like most of our community pretty much all knew, like they were like, oh yeah, he's cool. Like all the reactions were like, it's going to be cool.
I love that.
So we don't want to limit.
Well, again, it's that natural progression that we went through. Like we all, like most people who listen to the stuff that we cover also listen to, you know, the post-hardcore and emo and stuff. So it all kind of like, it's all nostalgic for those same people. Yeah.
Like one of our guy in the chat right now, like Manitum, it's a deathcore, super deathcore band, but this dude was in Herdemise My Rise, and he used to like hang out with T-Mills and whatever. So like he's here, but like he's part of that whole era.
Wait. Someone who was in Her Demise, My Rise is watching right now?
Yeah, Manitou account in chat.
Yo, that's nuts. Hey, what's up to that guy? That's fucking cool. Wow. Yeah. T Mills.
We love Jake over here.
T Mills that's a funny guy. That was an interesting. Yeah. I want to do a video about T Mills. He's been on my list for a long time, actually.
There's so much to cover too.
You know what I answered? I swear to God, people ask me, are you going to do at some point a video? I'm like, I'm pretty sure Cozy at some point is going to do it. Like, that was my answer. I'm like, there's no way he's not covering T-Mills. Like, I'm like, I a few times I said, I feel like it's Cozy territory. Like, I think he's going to do it. But like, I would enjoy it because I was listening to even his first, like he did some covers at first or whatever. Like I've been following, it was a big MySpace like icon for a while. So it would be.
He was. Yo, speaking of icons, is that Hair Jordan? Is Hair Jordan up in here? Yo, y'all know Hair Jordan? What up, Hair Jordan? Yo, that's my dude. Yo, this is a fucking party right now. This is crazy.
There it is. And you want to know the cool thing? Like Jake from Murderers Bars, he said that he discovered you through your Never Shop Never video. Like, talk about everything connected, right? Like, it's one, as much as like deathcore, metalcore, like we can put like labels, but we're all kind of all the same kids with all different tastes, but like it's the same community at the end.
We're quick to pigeonhole people, especially when it comes to like, let's say like, okay, we make content on the internet, but like, so we display a certain thing, we cater to a certain niche, like all these things. People are quick to assume that that's the only thing that person listens to type thing. Yeah. But like, I'm wearing an Ariana fucking Grande shirt right now. Like,
I was going to say,
like,
I love that.
It's like one of those things like we're like, everyone is like super multifaceted. Like, I don't know that many people that listen to like one specific genre and nothing else. So maybe in metal, there's a little bit more of that, but you know, it's usually people are in this day and age, at least, a lot more open-minded about that sort of stuff.
Totally. And I feel like that's something that was really, special about, you know, the Warped Tour scene era was that, like, you know, if you think about Warped Tour, there were so many different sort of sub-genre sectors of it. You know, you had like the post-hardcore and eras. Yeah, there's like the post-hardcore bands, then like the metalcore, and then there's pop punk, and then like the super poppy stuff, you know, which theoretically don't make sense next to one another. But when I think about those, you know, back in the day, like because again, I'm from that era. I was there. Yeah. I was a fan of those bands at the time. I had like literal like scene kid friends. Like I had an authentic group of actual scene kid friends at the time. And we all listened to all of that stuff. There wasn't anybody who like only listened to Attack, but was completely never going to listen to Paramore. You know what I mean? Yeah. From what I remember, there were some people who were maybe, you know, this one guy I know is a little bit more on the deathcore side of things, or this guy's more into pop punk, but we all pretty much listened to all, you know, we would listen to Fall Out Boy and we would listen to like Of Mice and Men. It was all kind of under the same
there's also
umbrella in a way.
I think that was kind of the distinction too, like the difference between like, you know, saying an emo kid versus a scene kid. I think like a scene kid encompassed, although both those things kind of still meant the same thing ultimately, but like saying you were a scene kid, it like there was a look attached to it, but it didn't like pin you down to, I only listen to emo. Like it was about the listening to 303 as well, like, and the crunk stuff and also pop and then metalcore, and then, you know, so it was all like, it was really all of this, and then also scene kids into deathcore, right? And we would all listen to all of these different genres, and I think, I don't know, maybe we're kind of like that's kind of a really fucking eclectic taste of music for a specific like aesthetic of people to dress as, you know? Like you think of metalhead, you assume they listen to metal, right? Like it's a very one-to-one thing. But I think Scene Kids, it was like super all over the place, which I don't think is really a thing in a lot of like, you know, you look like a rapper, you listen to rap type, you know, like it's not expected that you're listening to 10 other genres all at once. I don't know. I think it was something special with the openness that was happening with Scene Kids specifically.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting time. That's, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm the one saying sorry. I keep like, it's so interesting. Like these things, like those are my favorite, because the thing is like, it took me time because deathcore for a while, it was about listening to the heaviest things. Like it was like the heaviest band, this and this. So when people would ask me and I would be like, yeah, I love Of Mice and Men and I See Stars. They would be like, you love that shit? I'm like, yeah. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what? Like, it's another vibe. Like, it's sick. Like the early I See Stars is, I still think it's cool now. Like, I still like it. So asking Excendia, all that stuff. Like, A Day to Remember, always been a fan. But there was a little bit of that in the early days. Like, deathcore people would be like, oh no, that's poser shit. Like, they're singing. But overall, first of all, these people secretly love some of those bands. Like, just let's be real. And like, first of all, and second of all, it's like as much as it's different, it's not. Like, if you pay attention to the structures, like how they became a band, like what they do and whatever, and the type of show and what, like, people still go crazy in the same moment. So it took me time to realize, like, dude, there's no, like, listen to what you listen to. It doesn't matter. Like, you love this, listen to that. You love a pop artist, that's great. And I feel like it's more like that even now. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's even like now it's just like, listen to whatever it's cool to see that, like, there's no, except in metal, maybe, for sure, like death metal and like, you gotta be a metalhead. You're not I receive these comments all the time. Like, I'm wearing like a Blink-182 shirt and they're like, you're a poser. You don't really listen to metal. I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't care. But overall it's more open, I would say. Like, it feels like that. So it's cool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that era of Warped Tour in the 2000s was very instrumental I feel like if you look at just music culture as a whole, even outside of like alternative music, just kind of music culture in general, like the Warped Tour stuff at the time, you know, I don't know if it was solely responsible, but it was a big part in just introducing people to genre melding and like being able to, you know, not have different styles of music be so segregated. Like, that's one thing that no matter like a poppy Warped Tour band or a heavier Warped Tour band, most of them were doing something that was blending like different styles together. And I feel like that was kind of the first, I could be wrong, but I feel like it was the first big era of like music that really had an emphasis on like blending genres that we see now. Like, since then, now is almost like common.
I was going to say that exactly. And there was a time, and like I'm thinking back even to like the early deathcore days. It was a deathcore tour was coming to town. It wasn't, and there was a fundamental shift at a certain point where I think management and bands and record labels and everyone involved kind of realized, like, wait, we can get different like crowds in together for this one tour package because we're going to put these 3 different style of bands on the same bill. And it didn't always work. I remember especially early on going to certain shows and being like, the 3 separate crowds fucking hate themselves. They hate each other because it's just not meshing. Like, they're not moshing the same. They don't enjoy the same type of music, and they're just not here for it for the other bands. But I think Warped Tour definitely was a huge part in making that sort of thing more of an acceptable thing.
Yes.
Like, hands down. Like, and yeah, to your point, like we saw so many mixed bills going forward after that. But it took a while even for Warped Tour, right? Because we're talking like in the like 2010s, it started being more of a common thing. But Warped Tour had been around forever at that point, right? But I think Warped Tour had already been through so many kind of eras as well, from being more of like a punk thing to you know, and
Right.
over time doing more and more genre blending. And it got to a point where it was kind of more accepted with everyone. But yeah, dude, those times were special. I always, when I think Warped Tour, I always have the fucking meme in mind where it's just the blow up billboard with the set times, and it's this girl being interviewed, and it's like, oh, who are you excited to see? And it's like, I'm excited to see my 3 favorite bands: August Burns Red, Of Mice and Men, and Icy Stars. And then you see on the panel they're all playing at the same time.
Yeah, I've definitely ran from one stage to another stage quite a few times. I went to like a whole bunch of Warped Tours as a kid.
Favorite Warped Tour memories? I want to know.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude.
Like favorite, a certain set, or like things that happen, or crazy, like you say, going from stage to stage and being fucking, you know,
anything.
Yeah, let me I have to put on my thinking cap real quick, because there's a lot of them, but it's also like, it was so long ago now. But I'm trying to think. I remember, man.
Were you ever rained out at a Warped Tour? I've been rained out at one, and it fucking sucks.
Oh my god, we were probably at the same.
Cell phone in a Ziploc bag type thing,
moshing in the rain, and like there's like dirt everywhere. Like okay, sorry. Yeah,
no, I actually twice actually. The first Warped Tour that I ever went to was in 2008, and that one. Yeah, that one, there was a big, nice, hey, cool.
That was Katy Perry, I'm pretty sure, that year.
Yes. So you want to know, well, okay, I got a couple Warped Tour memories for you. One,
let's go.
The first, I don't know how interesting these are, but this is what's coming to mind. The first, so I went to Warped Tour 2008, and Katy Perry was playing, and I did not watch her, not because I didn't like Katy Perry. So I regret this to this day, because I was a fan of Katy Perry at the time. I think I said this in the video that I just did about her, but she was one of the first kind of like relevant pop artists that I was actually like genuinely into. I like, you know, her first album, I liked her vibe and all that, and she was playing
already getting
Tour.
Radio play. Like it was like a weird thing for her to be there. It was like right when she was about like basically being like in the process of blowing up. So a lot of us knew who she was, you know.
Yeah, she was like just starting to blow up. I don't think I was like, might have been, I was like 12-ish. And I don't think, I definitely did not realize how culturally significant and important it was that Katy Perry was playing. I didn't, because she was blowing up, and it was like this different kind of artist for Warped Tour, because she was like this pop, you know, she wasn't like a band, she was like a pop girl. But like, I didn't realize how crazy that was, because I was so young, and I was like, you know, and we also didn't know that she was within a couple years going to become this like Madonna level, like world famous superstar. Right. So I remember Warped Tour 08, she was playing, it was like later in the day, and she was playing at the exact same time as the Academy is. And I, fucking little idiot that I was, went to go watch The Academy Is. Now, this is not a diss towards The Academy Is. I love that band. But if I could go back in time, I would have watched Katy Perry, because, you know, in my mind, I was just like, well, I like The Academy Is more than Katy Perry, so I'm going to go watch them. I had zero idea that like we would still be talking about Katy Perry playing Warped Tour to this day, and that would be this like legendary thing. So that's a regret I had, because I saw The Academy Is like a bunch of other times in that period. It wasn't like, you know, I don't know. So that's funny. But that day we did get rained. It got like rained, crazy thunderstorm, and I remember having to hide in a tent with like a bunch of people, like a merch tent. We were all, it was like chaos, like pandemonium. The second time I got rained out on at Warped Tour, a few years later in 2011, I went with a bunch of friends of mine. I went shirtless for some reason, which is like not totally out of character for me. I'm not like a shirtless kind of guy, but I was like, I don't know. I don't know. As a teenager, I don't know. Maybe that was like kind of my like douchebag era. So I was shirtless at Warped Tour, and a bunch of friends of mine, we were watching Drugs, the Craig Owens band. And this was summer of 2011, which like Drugs was fucking hot that summer. That shit was hype. And we were fucking like right in the crowd watching Drugs, and like right in the middle of their set, it started raining, and it started raining even harder and harder, thunder and lightning. I remember my eyes started burning because I had like sweat on my forehead, and the rain pushed all the sweat into my eyes, so I like couldn't see. And then before I knew it, like Drugs were gone. They had to leave the stage, and the whole crowd was like everyone just started like running away. I don't even really remember exactly what happened, but it just turned into like everyone like just riot. Was running. Like complete chaos. Like everyone was running in the opposite direction. The whole crowd's like moving, and everyone's just like I get separated from my friends. I don't know where they are. My phone is dead. This is all true. My phone like was I couldn't get in touch with anybody. I was separated from my people, and like everyone's just trying to find shelter. And eventually I'm like, after like the rain disappeared, I'm like, okay, I gotta find my friends again. So I'm like walking in a giant circle around the entire like amphitheater place. And eventually somehow as a like high schooler, I had this like almost like a primitive survival technique kicked in. And I was like, my friends are probably doing the same thing as me. They're probably also walking in a giant circle. So I'm going to stay right here and wait for them. And sure enough, within like 5 minutes, like a couple of my friends come, and I'm like, hey. So that was, I don't know. That was a crazy story that I remember. I think those were the only 2 times it got like crazy thunderstorm and rain. But yeah, those were some times. I don't know if any of that was that interesting, but those are some highlights.
Honestly, everything is interesting. Like just going back into memory, that's what we do basically here all the time. Like you have absolutely no pressure in terms of story with everything I said here, but I do have a story. Like if people, I did a video about the story so far, and I talk about it in it. So sorry if somebody here watched it. I really doubt it, but I love the story so far. I don't know if you.
I watched your story so far video. Okay, I liked it. Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it real quick because it might bore you off. But like something that I really enjoyed that happened. It's not super positive, but the lead singer just jumped in the crowd to defend someone that the security was like rough with them. Like the security was just like, kind of throwing around. Like the guy, he did nothing wrong. Like the fan was just like kind of surfing, and it was this era that crowd surfing was kind of like the Vans Warped Tour was like, oh, but every band wants you to crowd surf, so whatever. And they kind of took a kid and just like kind of pushed on the ground and then re-pushed on the ground. So the singer saw that, stopped the show. One of the dude of 4 Year Strong saw it too. They all jumped on the security guy. Like they straight up like stopped their set. Like, but you gotta understand, like I understood after, but as I was watching the show, I saw none of that. So for my perspective, I'm here, I'm listening to the show. He stops. I'm like, oh, did they get like, I thought they kind of messed up their set. I'm like, oh, okay, they fuck up this song or something, because they kind of all stopped. I'm like, what the hell?
It's like maybe like technical difficulty or something.
I'm like, that's weird because it's a sick band. Like they're good. So I was like, okay. And then I hear like, fuck security. I'm like, okay, something. And then I go on the internet. I'm like, holy shit, he actually jumped on the security dude. So
I was just gonna say that was like a big story, right? Are you? Because I remember. Was this like 2014? I remember
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that made like there was like a video I saw of that of like it's the story so far you're talking about, right?
It went kind of, people were talking about it, yeah.
Yeah, I remember there was like a cell phone video of him like jumping down and like
Yeah.
like stop you like getting like security was like he like had to break it up or something.
Yeah.
I remember. So you were there. You like you watched that set in person.
Yes,
That's
I was
crazy.
like,
That's
right
cool. Yeah, I
there.
remember that.
Yeah,
I remember reading about that.
It finished my day because if my memory is correct, it was like one of the latest band during the day. So like it was basically the last thing I would watch, and I was like, I again, I love the story so far. So I was like super stoked, and when I saw it after, it's kind of one of those things. Of course, it's negative, but at the same time, I just had more respect for the band. I'm like, he literally like stopped his song, jumped on security. They're not like small guys in security. Like it was kind of a just like stand up for their fans. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to see, you know.
I hear you. Right. Like, yeah, not a lot of people would physically get involved. No. Yeah. They maybe would say something, which is cool.
For what it's worth.
The what?
Couldn't be me. Like I'm not jumping to security guard. That's all I know.
Yeah. Like but it's one of those things. Like security. I like you're gonna have some people that are there for good reasons. Some other that are maybe there because it's kind of a like a way to just like, oh my, we're gonna rough up some people, which is pathetic. But I feel like some people maybe were there for, and it might be the reason. And we didn't see everything, right? Maybe prior to that there was like more to it, but I don't think there's many good reasons to take like a 14-year-old or 15-year-old and just like throw it on the floor when you're like a 35-year-old security dude. Like I don't see a world where I'm like, oh yeah, that's justified. So it was a cool move. Like as you said, some bands are going to stop the show, they're going to talk, but physically just jumping was, to me, I was like, that's kind of wild. Like he got
that's kind of
mad.
crazy.
Like, like he was pissed up. I still it's not in the video, but I remember him going back on stage saying like, I don't want any of that shit, like fuck this, and they restarted the whole song, which I was happy about because they played like a bit of it. I'm like, we're gonna re-listen to it, and like I was just happy. But it makes you gain a lot of respect, when you see those kind of things.
Yo, speaking of Warped Tour, and we kind of alluded to Emo Night earlier, and we've been talking about some revival stuff. What are your thoughts on When We Were Young?
Yeah, it's cool. I think, it's cool to see. I have nothing against it. I think it's cool. The only gray area for me is there's something about some of the emo revival, like nostalgia stuff that like some of it looks a little corny to me in some ways. I don't know if you guys know what I mean. Like there's some of it where it's
okay, let's add to add to that. What are your thoughts?
I'm not trying to stir up any pots here or anything, but
reunions of bands that have been broken up forever and or reunion shows and tours. Let's lump that into When We Were Young.
Yeah. Well, because we're kind of at this point now where like I think in like a few years ago, I think like around 2019, 2020, that was kind of when like like I was saying earlier, the like kind of revival nostalgia of like emo stuff kind of started. And at the time I was like, oh, this is sick. This is awesome.
New bands too, right? Like there was a wave of like more than just like people paying attention to the old stuff. There's a whole crop of new people getting into it too.
Even pop people like MGK doing emo, like kind of pop punk things. Like it was like kind of
exactly. Yeah, there was like kind of a new wave of it. I thought it was cool. The only thing that kind of worries me and like pains me a little bit is that I feel like we're kind of at this point where it's some aspects of it, not all. And like I see someone in the chat said they had a great time at When We Were Young. I'm sure it's like a fun ass time being there. But some aspects of like that festival and other festivals I see, it's almost like we're getting to this point where it's reminding me of like the 80s hair metal revival in like the 2000s when like Bret Michaels had a reality show, like, you know, Rock of Love. And then like Poison went like, they came back for some reason. And it was it was just like, it's like, there are some I don't know if this is making sense, but like, it's kind of like, there are some of the band reunions of old bands that I see are like really sick, but there are a few of them that I've seen that I'm like, guys, come on, like is this really necessary? Like, it's kind of clear that like, okay, you guys see money in the nostalgia and you're bringing it back. I don't know. I just like,
and like people are there for it, right? So there's like there works. You know, it's a bit of a two-way street.
There
right?
is. But so here's, you know what? I'll say this, because I'm not trying to like shit on anybody or harp on anybody, because it is awesome. And I kind of exist, my channel kind of exists in this nostalgia space, I guess, or it does. But when the nostalgia stuff was like kind of starting, like I was saying, 2019, 2020, I thought it was really cool because finally a lot of these bands that I grew up listening to were finally being like legitimized. It looked like from serious music people were finally like, oh, emo was like it wasn't just this cringy fad. It was like this real wave that meant a lot to a lot of people and was important, etc. Is finally being looked at as like
now
this.
Live Nation is paying attention. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. I just worry that the more it becomes almost this like nostalgia circle jerk where it almost is becoming cheapened again, because it's 100%.
When one band does it, it's like an event, but if everyone's doing it.
Yeah. In some ways it's like, I'm trying to figure out, I feel like I'm not wording this the way that I want to.
I do get it, I hope what you're saying.
I hope you guys know what I mean. Like, I just don't want it to, it just worries me that it's starting to look like corny again, or be this thing where it's like, all right, emo nostalgia, we get it. Like, I don't know.
So here's my thing to maybe add on to that.
Those are my thoughts. Maybe controversial. I don't know.
Oh, dude, I'm right there with you.
It's a fair point, honestly.
I'm right there with you, and I think to add on to that and to maybe further explain that point, when I initially saw the first year for when we were young, the lineup, I was like, first glance, I was like, this is incredible. This is the coolest fucking thing ever. Like, all these bands playing this festival all at the same time. It's so fucking cool. That being said, I took a few seconds and then I was kind of like, but not a single one of these bands are doing a proper like throwback set. None of them. Not a single band on the entire lineup. And to me, that kind of like defeated the purpose of all of these bands playing the festival, because I was like, it's all about nostalgia, but if all these bands are playing mostly their more recent material, which I'm sure most bands didn't necessarily do, but a lot of these bands aren't going to necessarily build an entirely new set for one festival, right? They're going to be playing whatever they're already playing on tour, which isn't the nostalgia stuff necessarily. So in my mind, it was kind of like, if they really wanted to do like a nostalgia thing right, like there was such an opportunity for that sort of thing to be filled with exclusive sets that you weren't going to get anywhere else. Like, to me, ultimately kind of just felt like, oh yeah, there's, obviously people are going to be paid well and it's going to be a cool experience with a bunch of people, but it felt less like a genuine thing because I wasn't seeing anything more than just, we have all these bands playing this thing. I don't know. To me, that's how it kind of came across.
You can go ahead, Julie.
Oh yeah, real quick. I had another thought.
Yeah.
So I agree, and I hear what and I feel you, and I think I feel like 10 years ago or so, like when before all this emo nostalgia stuff started, which again has been very exciting and very cool, and like there's aspects of it that I really love. I feel like before this, there was almost this thing in the scene where or not even the scene, just like kind of music in general, where like if an artist is like turning into a nostalgia act was like a bad thing. Like you didn't want to just be
you don't want to be known for that.
Yeah, trying to live the glory days of 20 years ago, playing your first album again. Like that was looked at as lame, I felt like, for a long time. And it just worries me that like that is kind of starting to happen with these bands where it's like, we're just trying to do 2004 again. And it's like, no, we can't. 2004 was great. And I love that it's starting to be legitimized and we're looking at it through a more serious lens. But it just, sometimes I see people on the internet, I feel like almost get a little too lost in like nostalgia and trying to recreate something that already happened, and kind of like, because to me, I still feel like that kind of runs the risk of cheapening it a little bit and making it kind of this Halloween costume as opposed to like, you know what I mean?
Kind of redoing like a classic movie and kind of ruining basically, or bringing it back like a series you love, like for one season, but it's not the same. It's just bad. Like the way I see it, I'm like super happy selfishly because, like, for example, Blink-182 with a new album, I was like, it's kind of a dream of mine. Like, I love these guys so much. Like, I was happy. I'm happy that like it works, but there's another part of me who's kind of confused because I don't know for you guys, but first of all, being emo was never cool. And nobody was saying I'm emo. I never said in my life, hey,
I'm not emo, I'm unique. I was saying phrase.
I was saying like I'm not emo. And then people would tell me, what are you then? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm not emo. And I was completely emo. But I feel like it was it was that forever. It wasn't cool. And like we were not awareness that it would be looked at later on. It was just kind of happening. Like MySpace was starting, like we started to be connected together. It was magical because we were not trying to create something. It was just like, oh my God, this band is cool. It was an on the moment thing and we didn't know that. So it was magical for that reason. But to me, it was kind of bringing it back today. It's kind of like if I would tell my high school friends, let's hang out in the car like we did in 2007 and smoke weed all together and go in the city. And then like, it won't, even if I try so hard, like I'm still like, my lower back's going to hurt a little bit and like, it's going to be different as an experience. And like, I don't want to be a hater at all. Like I'm very, but to me, it's so confusing to see kids being proud of being emo. And I'm like, you were not there. Like it sucked big time. Like if you were an emo in high school, people would laugh at you. We were kind of almost kind of a joke, almost like it was like, I don't take myself too seriously. My hair here or like this. And like I have my own, it was this weird thing that we were proud privately. Like, like I was proud of my style alone, but like I would never be like, I'm proud. Like I was listening to like my emo bands. It was like, we felt like every one of us were kind of in our own world and it kind of happened. But like today it's kind of like, oh, you're emo. It's kind of like emo is cool because it's coming back. So it doesn't have the same like you said, it's not 2006, so it's like
it's almost weird to have like fucking 30,000 ex-emo kids all in the same place at once at a place like when we were young, like, you know?
It's hey, bring back Emerson. Like it's cool, but it's like some things are part of its time and it's also okay like that. Like it's cool to have a memory and be like, and it's coming from a super nostalgic person. I have like all the retro like Nintendo 64 and I'm super like there's certain things you can still do, but when we're talking about music or reliving a moment, very rarely, like you cannot intentionally recreate a moment. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I think there's something though, like to kind of go back to what I was saying, there kind of is something to me inherently weird about like we've all heard of the bands like Paramore doesn't want to play Misery Business anymore. I know they play it now again, but for a long time that wasn't a thing, right? So
Panic at the Disco with their song.
I just questions band like that being on a nostalgia-pilled festival where the flyer is all checkers and it's all about the nostalgia, but then these same bands don't play the classics. I don't know. There's just something weird to me about that. But I get what you guys are saying though about it. Like, obviously it wouldn't be like hearing Paramore in their prime playing Misery Business, right? But I don't know. I feel like the intent of the festival makes it so that it's a bit weird to not expect that sort of thing. And maybe the intention of the festival is the thing that's wrong in the first place, right? But I don't know. People are there for it regardless.
I think it's cool.
I think it's ultimately cool. It's not like
it is
uncool thing. Like I'm sure everyone's having a fucking blast at these things. We're seeing it in chat and stuff too. But
like, it's cool to see, but at the same time, I do understand. Like, there's a part of me who's like, you know, who's been, for example, like All Time Low. Like, it's one of my favorite things. Like, I love All Time Low. And like, I'm one of those people who was like, I wish they would still sound like the party scene and stuff like that. But they're freaking 40-year-old. Like, he probably doesn't want to sing on stage like, I'm 17. Like, it's just like, I understand that it's kind of, you know, it was part, like, there was other elements to that era. Like, MTV was big, like the like, you know, like the top 5, whatever. Like, there was a lot of elements that people, like, they bring back something, but a lot of the surroundings of it or the core of it and the lore of it is not there anymore. So it's kind of sometimes like kind of an empty shell. Like, I feel bad saying that, but it feels like a little bit in certain cases to me, without being a hater. Sound like a hater. I'm actually happy that it's back, but it's
same.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I guess like also too, like, I kind of I really like the bands, like the type of music fan I am. I really love when a band is able to kind of evolve and like reinvent themselves and do it like successfully. Like, that's kind of I don't really like when a band just kind of does the same thing over and over again. I don't know.
The classic example of that.
Oh yeah, Bring Me the Horizon. Yeah.
Like, they're as relevant as they've ever been, and they sound nothing like they've ever sounded before, and it's always changed every album, and like, I respect that so much. But even at the same time, like, I understand that people making changes doesn't always work for them. So I also get that, right?
Sometimes they go in country instead of milk, and then.
Because like, and of course, like, if you go that like the Bring Me the Horizon route, of course, like, there's going to be a lot of haters and a lot of people being like, yo, fuck this or whatever. But I'm like, you know, and a lot of people want them to go back to the old thing, but I'm like, guys, don't you think if Ollie Sykes in 2024 jumped on stage in like skinny jeans and Tom's shoes and like a V-neck screaming, like, wouldn't it look a little lame?
That would be weird.
Of course, people think that they want that, but I'm like, dude, it would be like the lamest shit. Like, it'd be like, dude, it's not 2007. Like, what are you? You know, not to sound like a hater myself.
And I think these same haters would hate him for doing that. Probably they would be like, that's lame, and they were the people asking for it, and then they would be like, well, that sucked. So it's not worth it. I didn't want to cut you off, but it's like, it's not worth it to do that, I think.
No, totally. But like, kind of circling back to like the When We Were Young thing, you know, I think the festival is super exciting. I'm sure if I haven't been to one, I'm sure if I went, I would have a blast.
Same, absolutely,
But there is, I guess that's just my one kind of worry about it as a guy who, you know, I mean, I try not to be like pretentious with this stuff, but when it comes to, you know, when it comes to emo, like, I fucking grew up in this shit, man. And like, I just worry that I worry about it entering the, you know, sort of cash grab, like nostalgia, just play the old stuff and collect your paycheck. And like, I don't want it to be that, you know what I mean?
Have you been to any like anniversary tours in recent years? I saw Story of the Year last year, got Under Oath. They did their Only Chasing Safety. They did that tour. That was fucking awesome. There's been like a few bands like that, I mean, you know, all bands that maybe still kick it, but you kind of doubt whether it's going to be a fun experience or not, seeing them live 20 years later playing some of this stuff, but like been pleasantly surprised. The one I'll say didn't age well was We the Kings. But that's all. I won't speak further on that. But anyways, any reunion tours you've seen in recent years?
Oh, that's actually really funny that you say that about We the Kings, because I feel you. I feel like. Yo, can I let me get mad controversial for a second. I'm just gonna say what I'm thinking. We're firing off. We the Kings. I loved We the Kings when I was like in middle school. I actually saw them live a bunch of times, and I think that they were the type of band where like they had like 3 or 4 really good songs, but if you look back on the first album they had, that's like the classic album or whatever, it's like pretty mid all the way through. It's not really that great of an album. In my opinion, I think that they and I'm gonna just say it, fellas. I'm gonna say it. I think that they were just ripping off Boys Like Girls and the All American Rejects. I think those two bands did that style first. They did it better. We the Kings came around a couple years later. They had a couple great songs. Check Yes Juliet is awesome. But that's when it started
became like crazy popular, right? Like those singles alone were enough to carry the band. And to be fair, that's what it was at the shows too, right? Like it's like, oh, here are the few songs we know, and then here's the other stuff.
The other one, like Avenue something, like Electro
Skyway Avenue.
Like I like them too, but like I think you're right. Like I went back to it and I was like, I don't know, like All American Rejects though, like I still think they were cool. Like I love personally All American Rejects, but like I feel like their stuff, a lot of their stuff kind of is still good now. Like some of their song, I'm like, it's still pretty good.
It kept up.
Yeah. But We the King, all those songs, like let's be real, all those songs that kind of sound like a 15-year-old being heartbroken, it doesn't
hit the same at 34.
You, Juliet, I wish we could be together. You're like 47. Like it's not the same. Without being a hater, it's just So I feel you on that. And I would have a question though, because I know your favorite band is Fall Out Boy, right? Still to this day.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yes.
You could, by the way, you could do 50 million videos about Fall Out Boy, and I would enjoy it. No, honestly, it would be. It's a sick band. I think they're interesting.
I left early the last time I saw them live. That's I got full hater energy coming out right now. But
that's gonna be controversial.
We can duke it out, man. We can go toe to toe. Fucking.
That would be interesting.
Someone in the chat said go off, Cozy, and y'all don't even. I got more hot takes than people might even realize. I don't always just put it on the internet like that, but we can fucking get into it right now.
What you didn't know is that all of this is actually a setup, and we're just gonna take everything you say negatively, and we're here to just like make you controversial. No, but for real, like if you have like, we don't really like, that's the place to do it. Like just if you have an opinion, like we're so open, like we talk about pop stuff all the time, and like I like this and this, like it's super open, like it's fun, it makes it fun. I love knowing these things. It might change sometimes, like a way I see something or whatever, like we're all here for that. That's why our chat are like, go ahead, like just
right, because I'm also like, I'm very like, Fall Out Boy are my favorite band, and probably like a lot of their poppier stuff from the last 10 years. I like it. I actually fuck with it, but like I can also, I'm aware enough to also like joke about, like you can hate on any aspect of Fall Out Boy and I'll laugh with you and be like, yeah, I get it. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's something that happens in kind of stan culture where like,
you can't say something negative or else everyone gets fucking riled up about it.
Yeah. Like I could, as much as I Fall Out Boy are my favorite band, I could sit here and probably shit on them with you. Like, you know what I mean? Just because it's fun. Like, I don't know. It's not that serious to me, really. Although it can be if you want to go there. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah.
I was curious because, the Fall Out Boy of today versus like Sugar We're Going to, I mean, like there's kind of a, huge bridge. And from the comments that I've seen, some people are very happy with their recent things. And some others are like, what the fuck, like just like confused and stuff like that. And I know you talked about it, but like for people who didn't really, watch or were not aware that you talked about it, like, do you love it like as much? Is this something that you listen to regularly, like the new Fall Out Boy right now?
It is actually. And I will say kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, like I'm the type of music fan I am. I really love bands that kind of reinvent themselves and are able to, I don't know, take on different shapes and forms over the years, and it doesn't become this like tired thing. Like they're always freshening it up. And I think what Fall Out Boy, I can already feel people being like, dude, no, like fucking but like how would I put this? I think that the way I look at Fall Out Boy is that I feel like they're a band who, no matter what era of culture that they were a part of, whether when they were first starting out, like kind of a pop punk, early 2000s kind of thing, to all the way through to now, my perception is that they've always been a band who kind of takes what's going on in like popular music and kind of puts their own slightly off kilter Fall Out Boy spin onto it. Whereas a lot of other people would just look at them as like a pop punk band who kind of turned into a mainstream pop band. Right. But I
more of a pop thing going on. Like in the terms of like a lot of pop artists will kind of reinvent themselves in a similar way, right? And kind of follow whatever's like take bits and pieces of what's working and what's hot right now and kind of make it their own.
Right. And in the 2010s, they go ahead, Cozy. It's okay to admit they're an industry plant. They're not an industry plant. That's not Pete Wentz is the fucking industry, bro. Okay. Yeah. But in the 2010s, they like if you look at what was popular, they did totally like Maroon 5-ify their band, right? They totally went in the direction of like keeping up with like what was trendy in popular music at the time. They weren't even like an alternative band anymore. And, whether Maroon 5 in your band is like a positive or negative thing, I like Maroon 5. I fuck with Maroon 5. From my perspective, that's not like a negative thing for me. Well, the only negative would be is if they were just doing it again, like in order to just make money or literally like sell out, right? I think if you listen to those albums like Save Rock and Roll or like Mania gets a ton of hate, their 2017 album. But I think that shit is cool because it's like they were taking what was popular at the time and putting the Fall Out Boy spin on it. I think I'm telling you, if you listen to those albums with you will find the off kilter Fall Out Boy spin on it. And it's not like, if you're going into it looking for like pop punk, you're not going to find, you're going to be disappointed, but they were putting their own like off kilter spin on it. That's my perspective. And in my opinion, even when they were a pop punk band, they were kind of doing the same thing.
Still doing their own thing. Yeah, 100%. They never sounded like a straight up pop punk band. They always had their own thing.
You cannot compare them to other, like they always had their sound. I feel like also his voice is a big part of it because he sounds like himself. Like nobody really sounds like this dude, which helps. But I'm asking that because as much as I'm one of those people who I love Sugar We're Going Down, I still listen to that song. I still like that era for sure. Like it's in what I'm listening to, but also I don't know what's the opinion of people, but like the thanks for the memory, this ain't a scene, it's an arm race. Like I love, like, those songs are awesome, and it's not pop punk. I don't even know what it is, but it was
exactly
good.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's probably the ultimate goal as a band, not being labeled, being like, we're us, like we're doing this, you know, because if they would have made Sugar We're Going Down Part 2, 3, 4, who knows if they would still be around even, or they would, you know, we don't know. So yeah,
it to me, it makes the story and the band a lot more interesting, because going back to what you were saying about like arms race and that stuff, a lot of times people fail to see like the amount of R&B influence in Fall Out Boy and like hip hop and stuff, and like that they were pulling from, and like, you know, there's a like Patrick Stump is a really, like, you know, a really musically smart guy, and there's, you know, they're and I don't know, that to me is just a lot more interesting than if it was just like, I don't know, like Senses Fail or something, not hating on them, but like, or anything, but like, or like Hawthorne Heights, or a band who just kind of like was always emo the whole time. It's like, all right, that's less interesting to me, you know? I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to sound pretentious or whatever, and
I think
I love
their
emo,
influences.
but
I think their influence. I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding that kind of point of view, because the influences are so outside of what people that listen to, let's say, pop punk listen to, that it's hard to even comprehend. Like you said, like it, you know, people don't even realize what comes from R&B and hip hop and these different influences. Like, it's so far out.
Yeah.
All you know is that this band doesn't sound like anything else, and it sounds fucking weird, and you love it. But you don't know why. You don't know what the influences are. Like, I never went to analyze. Like, I've tried multiple. You know, Yan was saying just a second ago, like, I don't even know what to call that, right? Like, that's
yeah.
But so I don't know. I think there's something special with that. Do you feel the same way with Panic?
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Just before you answer, I just want to say that I'm part of these people who always wondered what would have happened, because they take a turn, like they lost some members at this point. It was like just a drummer and him, and they went like, I love some of the songs, like New Perspective. Like, I think it was okay, but like always wondered what would have happened if they just like kept their whatever weird 9 in the afternoon vibe. But yeah, so sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
9 in the afternoon is a good shout. That's like not the kind of deep cut, but I fucking love that song.
I think it was good. I think it was interesting, this album. It was different. It was
I love that album. I love that album. But I Pray for the Wicked, the 2018 album, actually has a ton of bangers.
Yo, I agree.
In my opinion.
Thank you. Yo, people, so that album always gets so much hate because High Hopes is on it, and I get it. That song, it's overplayed, it's annoying. I feel you,
though,
but
if we're being real, I like it.
It got that popular for a fucking reason, bro. It's you know, and that album, there are a lot of bangers. I mean, Panic at the Disco, I'm a little bit more, I don't know. I do kind of think I'm kind of that mindset that I understand why Brendan Urie like kept the Panic at the Disco name, but I kind of think he should have just been a like solo act once it was down to just him,
name, right? Like,
because that's what it became. The album artwork for that album that we were just talking about is just his face. You know, like that's what it became. Anyways.
But I think it was a little bit of a. Not like I don't want to say ego. I think the guy is cool, but like I think it was like you left the band. I'm gonna keep the name and just like bring it up there. And that's what he did. I feel like it was part of it. Could be wrong. Like
I think he did a good job of like keeping kind of the vibe of the original band, and you know, again, like you know, he might be the only guy that could have ever gotten away with that, right? Because like think of if like My Chemical Romance was like just Gerard Way.
Yeah.
Like that'd be fucking weird, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What, like, I don't know. Somehow he did it in a way where he could get away with it, but I'm still like, but I think what he was able to do with Panic as a solo project was really like impressive, and nobody saw that coming, because once the other guy, you know, the two other guys in the band left, there was kind of this period around like 2011, 2012 where people were like, why is this still a thing? Like, why is Panic at the Disco still trying to make their thing happen? But once it was like the Death of a Bachelor album. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That album, like, it was like, oh, there's this like second wind happening where it's like becoming a Panic at the Disco is 10 years later becoming a mainstream phenomenon, like again. Like that was really crazy to watch. But I am kind of I do like the later Panic stuff, but I am actually a little bit more of a purist when it comes to Panic at the Disco, and I kind of prefer the original band. I don't know.
I want to, like I really miss the days of like lying something like lying. I don't remember all the names of the songs, but like that's the era. There was a song that was like, I forgot the name, but like, it started with like, same time I'm gonna need you to keep. I don't remember the name of the song, but like every anime video of Naruto or something would have this song, and it was
AMVs
cool.
are making a comeback, man. I'm here for it.
Yeah, like I was, and it might be, I don't know if people hate it or not, but like I do remember first time I went back to Panic, I heard Miss Jackson, and I was surprised to like it. I was like, why do I like this? Like his new image, he has like the haircut at the time, like, like back hair. And he was like Miss Jackson. I was like, I was like, that's a pop song and I like it. Like, what's wrong? Like, what's happening? And it kind of, and I think what helps, by the way, is that I'm not kidding. He has one of the best voices in the world, like, period. Like, out of every pop art, like, it's one of the best voices I've just ever heard. So I feel like for pop, he had what it takes, like himself as an artist had everything, I see
a major label being like, we can still do something with this dude.
That guy was like born to be a performer. Like he like on stage singing and dancing. I don't think that he had as much like creatively to say as much as like, because the original band, Ryan Ross was kind of the like main songwriter, and he was kind of like the visionary. He was like the Pete Wentz of the band. He was like the fucking, he had the whole vision. Brendan had like the frontman talent, and he's
kind of
yes, like he like just sing and dance, fucking like one of the best. But I think that's one of the things that like kind of suffered in later Panic, is I don't think he had as much to say, you know what I mean? Like he was a great singer and like a great performer, but there's like, I don't know, there's always something like kind of missing for me of like, what's the vision of this whole thing? Yeah, where like in my opinion, if you compare it to Fall Out Boy, one could argue that Panic at the Disco's like 2010s music might have been a little like better or more well executed than Fall Out Boy's in some ways, but I think that Fall Out Boy are still around and Panic aren't, because Fall Out Boy retains that same kind of spirit and vision that they always had, because they still have the same four guys in the band. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Pete also, like, he, like, I feel like what helps Fall Out Boy, I mean, if I'm correct, Pete Wentz, like, he discovered Panic, right? Am I right? Like, I think he's the one who kind of spotted them and helped them kind of, get exposure. Okay, so
yeah.
That's
Like,
what Cozy was saying earlier. He is the industry. Yeah, he did that with a lot of people.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
He's a business person as well. Like, I feel like by the way, go back in time. Go back when we were all emo, not emo. Like, look at Pete how he looked. Look at how he looked. He had like he just knew what was going on, how to make it, relevant, how it would. And sure, people are like, oh, like they don't like that. But if you take the band, like they did kind of everything correctly, really, as a,
Yeah, Pete Wentz, what I like about him and what I feel like is kind of misunderstood about him in a lot of ways is he was very like forward thinking, I think, and bringing in like we were saying, like in a lot of other outside influences into emo and pop punk, like hip hop and R&B, and that a lot of other emo bands of the time weren't doing. Like, and that's kind of why Fall Out Boy were able to stay relevant and stay, you know,
ahead
whether exactly, and whether someone likes their later material or not is almost like, to me, I don't know. It's in some ways like, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it's like, well, they did what like so many other bands like couldn't fucking do or tried and failed to do. It doesn't erase
the past, right? Like,
yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, that's but again, like Fall Out Boy are my favorite band, so I'm like super biased. Like I'm just like
it's me with Blink-182. You know, like they cannot do wrong for me. Like I'm like, it's Blink, I don't care. Yeah, like that. I'm this kind of. So I do understand that perspective, but I feel, and I want to know you guys' opinion on that. But like, when you're a real fan, there's a part of you who's happy that they're even still around. Like just the fact that they're still making, even if you wouldn't, you know, like it as much. Like when you really love a band, you're happy for that there's even still here, still making music, still doing their thing. Like you're grateful for that. So I feel like people always bash. Were you even like a real fan in the first place? If you just constantly say that they suck because they changed, like, are you really like, if you're really a fan of something, usually I feel like there's certain bands that I don't even listen to, but I'm kind of happy. I'm like, they're still around. That's so cool. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's this thing. It might depend on, you know, people's personality.
To me, it's just regular. I've always and I feel like a lot of people have a hard time understanding this. Like, I just don't get why. But a band putting out an album that you don't like when you're already a fan of previous material does not erase the previous material. It's still there for you to listen to. Like, I feel like a lot of people, they switch on a band and they'll like stop listening to a band and like just talk shit about a band. And like, wait, the stuff you loved is still there. Like, I don't know, man. Right. There's something, but I see that happen a lot. Like, it's just a weird thing that I think people do. Maybe it's a human, it's like the band doesn't owe you anything. And it's a cool thing when they're able to put out a new album and it's also something that you enjoy. But for me, it's just like, I don't know. I just try to take everything like for what it is. And it's like one album is an album and that's it. And cool if they make something new that I enjoy. But if not, hey, I still got this piece of music that I can spin. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't get tired of listening to albums I love. Right?
Same,
yeah.
And most people grow up on like 10 albums and listen to that shit till they fucking die.
Yep.
You know, like I'm in no shortage of cool music to listen to. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Same.
Also, you know, off of that same point, I feel like a lot of people are really quick to judge on like a band's newer music. Like a new song will come out and like the comments like on the same day are like, this sucks. I'm like,
how about
like give it a little time. Give it a little time. There's albums that like take me years to start liking, and it's less to do with like the actual music itself, but more to do with like I just wasn't in a place to receive it yet.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I don't know, like maybe like give it like a year, maybe like literally like come back to it in like a year. You might go through some stuff that might make you like it later. Like you don't have to be so reactive.
A lot of new ideas are an acquired taste. Like it's just one of those things. Like especially the bands that do completely fucking whack ass shit. Like it's not gonna hit most people the first time around. But usually what happens is like you'll maybe get off of an album and be like, like I don't, you know, I'm not sure about this, but then you keep thinking about it. and then you kind of know, it's like, oh, maybe I'm going to give this a chance again. And then it creeps up on you. And I don't know, that happens so much with everything. It happens to me with movies all the fucking time. I don't watch that many movies, but there's been certain movies like Drive is a movie for me. There's a kind of side like tangent, but like Drive, I watched for the first time and I thought it was the most boring fucking movie I'd ever seen in my fucking life. It's so slow paced and I couldn't stomach it. And like a year later, I don't know why, I was like thinking about it again. I was like, why am I still thinking about this fucking movie? And I rewatched it and I fucking loved it the second time around. And it's just, it happens with so much stuff. But yeah, I agree. Like people are very quick to dismiss, like, and especially like, you talk about comments and stuff. People will comment without even having heard the whole song yet, so it's like,
exactly. Yeah. It's funny. That's kind of been my, I don't know, something that I've realized with like what I do in terms of like talking about music in YouTube videos on the internet and like saying my opinions and stuff. It's a weird thing that I've become more cognizant of, is that like my opinions and tastes are still changing, over time now. Like I didn't just stop, like I didn't just pick what I liked when I was young and kept it there. Like I'm still always exploring new stuff and, realizing, like, again, I told you guys earlier, but like like a couple years ago started listening to Kill Switch Engage for the first time. I had never listened to them. And now they're like, I like fucking love Kill Switch Engage. And then that led me to more like,
I've been listening to the gap afterwards towards other things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So now when like, and that like opens my eyes to more music. So I guess what I'm saying is like, there might be a band that goes in a different direction, like, and you might have not liked that when you first heard it, but maybe you just weren't ready for that yet. You hadn't gotten into that kind of, like so back on Fall Out Boy, I actually didn't really I didn't like their newer stuff like 10 years ago when it first started coming out, like the Light 'Em Up song and Centuries. I was super, I don't know, guys, when that first came out, straight up. Yeah. I mean, but since then, I've gotten a lot more into like pop music than I was at the time. And now I appreciate it more because it makes more sense to me. It's almost like I've opened my mind up more just over the years, and that's something that, again, going back to like, another thing we were talking about of like when we were young fest and all the nostalgia stuff, it's like, I think it's so important as a music fan to always have an open mind and look for new music, different kinds of music. It's so fun to explore that if you just limit yourself to kind of a box or like a nostalgic kind of box, it's much more fun to look outside the box, I think.
But you're gonna miss out too. Like it's
the reason we do all the things that we do and talk about. Like all we do is talk about music to hopefully get people onto some new bands, that they might not have heard about before. Like that's the whole mission statement. So I fully agree with you on that. Like it's always
it's fun to talk outside of it as well. Like that's why if you go on my channel, all these extreme band, and then you have like Story So Far and Mayday Parade. Out of all band, I chose like Mayday Parade, like one of the emo bands. Somehow, I just wanted to do it. I was expecting it not to do well. I mean, they're metalheads, and I'm like, hey, here's Mayday Parade. But like, it's like when you go, like, I've missed out when I was younger. Like, it was only pop punk and emo and whatever. But like when I started discovering things, like I love some country. I love like, it's fun to discover like new stuff. I don't know if you know the band, and I'm gonna butcher the name, of course. Belmont, like it's a pop punk, weird, experimental, almost metalcore kind of thing. Like they don't sound like other bands. At first, I wasn't sure, and then I was like, "That's actually sick." So I'm kind of looking for weird, just different things and just see if it works or not with my brain. And like Belmont was like one of them for me. So it's just an example.
Totally. Right. And then like you can, now that you kind of like appreciate that band, who they do, I know I've heard them. They do a kind of a unique blend of things. There's probably a bunch of other bands that you could start listening to now that like, might make more sense now that you have that musical ground covered. It's just at the end of the day, it's just fun, and it's to explore music and get more like culturally enriched. It's awesome.
Whole point of MySpace, right? It was the whole point of it. Like, you come across a band, you look in the top 8 or whatever, and you're like, oh, what's this? And then you discover this and this, and next thing you know, you listen to something weird like Broken Side, and you're like, where am I right now? But I'm here. Like, but why? But I'm here. I don't know. It's new. Like. So I feel like if you open your mind, worst thing that's gonna happen, you won't like certain things. Who cares? But as you said many times, it happens to this day. I'm gonna tell them, I wasn't sure of this band at first. Now I like it. It happens all the time.
I'm converting Yan onto all these bands that he dismissed for so long, but that I still like hold in high regards. I'm like, no, yeah, you need to check this shit out. And then he's coming around to say, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Usually there's like a reason for the shift, right? There's like, and it's about like that bridging the gap. It'll be like, it'll be like, oh, he did a video on a band that featured a vocalist, and then he turns out I do like this vocalist of this band that I'm not listening to because I thought I didn't like the vocalist. So then it kind of transfers over. I don't know, but those kind of things are always cool to see.
But sometimes you need time a little bit. Just as you said, like, I don't know, like there's no reason. It's just didn't click there. Maybe it's one song, you hear another one, you're like, oh shit, that's pretty good, and then you end up liking the original song you didn't like at first. So it's it's a beautiful thing. Like, I don't think we should resist that. It's good. Like, it's give people a chance, like give artists a chance a little bit more. It sucks, it's new, I don't understand it. Like, no, like do 2005 stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe shut up for a little bit, and like if you don't like that album, don't hate on the artist. Maybe like just be like, oh, I wasn't really feeling this. Maybe go back to it in like 8 months. You might, I don't know, it might grow on you. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Exactly.
Don't be a hater.
And I know
I love hating though. I love being a hater. But to your point, it's just that it has to not be serious. Like, I'm a hater, but I don't actually like fucking despise music. Yes. Like that's not the use of the word, really.
It's fun to be a hater, but like I like to I'm a hater in like my group chat with like my 3 closest friends. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna go on Twitter and be like, yo, fuck this band, because this is like also and like a bunch of people are gonna hate on me for saying that. Like, I'll just say to my friend, like, yo, this fucking album fucking sucks, but it's almost like a funny thing when you're talking with your friends, because you can just be just kind of a bonehead and it's funny. It's not like you know that you're not actually this like hateful person. It's just fun to I don't know.
No, but I think you mentioned it. Like, it's just, don't take life that seriously. Like, if there's one thing that I kind of miss about the early 2000s, is that it was so goofy, man. Like look at the movies that we had. Like, it's just plain stupid. Like, pop punk was just like, look at the way people were like 3/4 shorts and like, like nobody. It was just like, let's be goofy all together. And like, some of that is something that I miss, because like, music doesn't have to be your whole personality. Like, you can love things, but who cares, right? You're not a true metalhead because you love pop. Okay, like, it's fine, man. I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need to wake up and tell myself I'm a real metal. I don't care. I really don't care about that. But
he screams in the mirror every single day just to make sure he's still good.
I'm a metalhead. Like, it's just, who cares? At the end of the day, like, just make what, you still, we're in 2000, like you want to wear like purple whatever jeans, like just do whatever the hell you want. It's not that serious, like it's just
totally. Yeah, right, exactly.
And I'd be curious to know. I know I'm going outside of the conversation a little bit.
Wait. I'm going to be a party pooper here. I think just because it's been 3.5 hours already.
I was just gonna.
Just because I know we could.
Okay,
we could
last
talk.
question.
We could go on. Yeah. All good. I feel you. All good. One
thing, maybe. Okay. You asked
Totally.
me, and I think it's a good question, by the way, to close it up. You asked me earlier, like where I see myself later and stuff like that. I was kind of curious. Would you like, because you say you want to keep at it, if you had like the opportunity just to jump in and let's say like do it full time, what is that something in your mind that like, yeah, I think I would do it, or you really want to keep it like, no, just a fun thing on what do you see for this channel?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question, man. Right now I do have a day job, and YouTube is, I mean, at this moment in time, it's kind of more of like a side thing for me, I guess, in the grand scheme of like my life. But it's also, over the time that I've been doing it, it's become a huge passion of mine. Like I used to play, I don't know if I used to play before I did YouTube. I used to play in bands, and I was like a musician. And that was kind of my dream, was to be in a band and whatnot. And YouTube has kind of taken over that in my life. Like I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm just really passionate about making my videos. It's a lot of fun for me. It's kind of my main creative outlet. And as of right now, I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at. But honestly, Yan, it's kind of like what you were saying earlier, in that we'll just kind of see what happens. I obviously in this chat, I've talked a lot about how I'm comfortable with where I am. I'm not necessarily deliberately trying to be this giant YouTube guy. I like my audience. That being said, it's not that I'm not like open to more success if that were to happen. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of just taking things one step at a time and just kind of, feeling it out. But I don't know, if something crazy were to happen and my channel were to like blow up into some next level, assuming I'd be at a place where I'd be like mentally stable and ready enough to tackle that kind of thing, I could see myself, possibly trying to, go even bigger and harder and like make it. I don't know if I would want to fully ever make it my full-time job, because that feels so like risky. But I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm kind of just like what you were saying earlier. I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm just going to keep throwing shit at the wall and doing my thing, and, seeing where it takes me. As much as I said I'm comfortable, I don't get it twisted. I'm down to, if a ton of views and subscribers come my way, I will gladly, that would be awesome. But I'm
telling you that because the weird thing with YouTube is that by now you've done so many videos about, bands that could get at any time other traction. People could come back to your video. Like I see your channel, it's still growing. Like you still have like, good views, and like even your, subscriber number, it's just, so I would see that very possible that's like you release a video, does super well, boom, and then so I'm asking this question specifically because I don't know what that step is, but it must be a little bit scary when you like jump in, because you go from like it goes from let's do a video about this to should I do a video about this? You know, like will it work? Like it's a different meaning after that. It's like, okay, now it's my like Finn made a very I don't know if you saw it. He made a very interesting video recently, kind of an update, being very real with people. Yeah. Okay, and I wrote to him after. I was like, hey, dude, whatever, because like I felt what he was, you know, I'm not near what he's going through, but like he's at a certain step now where he's like almost scared of like, can I do a video on that? Am I like stuck in what I do right now? Am I even enjoying this or this? And I was like, okay, like it's kind of a different thing to, you know, just it can be very exciting. Like I would be very happy to be like, okay, let's make it the main, like, but at the same time, I feel like there's this counterbalance of like, I might be not as free as I was like creatively now that the views are kind of my page. It sounds terrible, but like my views are kind of the paycheck now. Like, So I love asking this because honestly, I still, you know, I said that your channel inspired me, but like I see you any day. Like I wouldn't be surprised. Like you keep doing videos. Now you want to branch out with like pop art. It could easily just catch on and like people, you know what I mean? Like you could reach new people with that. You never know. So I wanted to ask because I know like you're working. I don't know exactly. I've seen a little bit like what you seem to do, but like I was like, would he leave that and just, you know, do it fully? It was one of my
right. No, and that's a good question. I actually really my day job that I do have, I actually really like it. I work at I work for a company that makes like mosaic art installations, like mosaic tiles. I'm a production assistant, so I'm kind of like the lowest ranking guy there. Like I'm like I fucking sit at a table and basically like assemble all the tiles to these giant mosaic pieces all day and then like put tape on them, and it's kind of funny, and I just listen to music all day. It's like a really chill, like
cool, actually.
Yeah, I lucked out in finding that job. I don't know, you know, so I do enjoy my day job a lot, surprisingly, like honestly, and I like the kind of stability of it, especially as you get more into your adult years. It's more like, you know, I'm like, well, I need to have stability here. But to what you were saying about YouTube, and thank you for the kind words, by the way. And I, you know, even though I've been doing the channel for like, I've been doing it for about 5 years now, and I've made like a ton of videos. For some reason, I still kind of feel like in the grand scheme of things, it is still a very small channel in like the grand scheme of YouTube. And even though I've been doing it for quite a while already, I still do honestly kind of feel like I'm still like developing and like, I don't feel like I've hit the sort of sleeping with sirens peak like we were talking about way earlier. Like, I don't feel like I've hit this peak and that it's been downhill. Like, I kind of still feel like I'm onto something in some weird way. I don't know if it's just me that feels that way. So I don't know, man. I just kind of
mixture of like growth continuing, but also trying to keeping to try to find your footing type thing, like getting better still at it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
the
beautiful thing. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I was actually just reading. This mosaic piece is giving me Seosin vibes. I don't quite know what that means, but yeah, totally, man.
For what it's worth, it is a cool job for what it's worth, though. Like, I mean, it's still creative. You listen to music, and you know, like, I'm sure your days goes like, you know, like super fast. So it's actually cool. And the beautiful thing about YouTube, though, is it would be possible easily to do both, like keep your day job and just like videos are doing well. It's an extra. Like a lot of people are doing that. Like, like Finn is doing like 50,000 things at the same time with his channel.
Oh yeah,
so like,
right.
It's completely like it's not like, okay, now I need to quit everything. Like, maybe at a certain like, okay, like Mr. Beast, whatever, like, okay, like you're just do your channel.
If you're making like millions of dollars all of a sudden, it's like, all right, right.
Let's do it. Like you have sponsors and shit. Okay. But like, I feel like you can be comfortable, keep your day job, like, like keep doing your things. It works well. Why not? And you have this, but I still believe that what you do, like I didn't see anyone else like just like doing it like as much as in depth and like with the storytelling and all that. So like I see it very easily just keep growing and
thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Cause again, I know we're running long and whatnot, but there are times where I do get like down on myself and I'm like, man, like is this thing over? Like, has the ship sailed? And, I do get like down on myself sometimes or like unsure of like where I'm going next. But, but like I said, I still do weirdly kind of feel like I'm new and like I feel again like I just love doing it. There's so many different types of artists that I want to cover and whether it gets super big or not, like I genuinely do just love doing it. So I'm just gonna keep doing my thing and kind of we'll see what happens.
That's the best answer. And no, you didn't follow because there's a ton of people like me who just like see your story and you're like, hey guys, I'm gonna post a new video on Saturday, and I'm like, I guess I know what I'm gonna do Saturday night.
Thanks, man. That means so much to me.
Yeah, it's true. And thank you. I want to say thank you. You say it's running long, but like I didn't know how much time you had because like usually Dom is the one like communicate. Like I'm horrible at this. Like having information, how it's gonna go. Like poor Dom. Like he's super structured. He's like, okay, this and this. I'm like, hey man, are you available? Cool, let's do it. Like I'm terrible with this, but I'm very thankful that you took that much time. Like, first of all, it's super fun. Second of all, like we talking about Warp Tour, all these things. And it was just a blast. Like at some point, I would like you to like just come back and talk about whatever's happening at that moment. I would love for you to just like come back at some time when it works.
I was actually just about to say that. I don't want to like invite myself, but I would love to come on again and can continue this chat or talk about different stuff. I'm definitely down for that for sure. Hit me up whenever.
I know our community is gonna love it. Like I see, like our chat is happy. Everybody's like, it's awesome, and so for sure.
Right on.
And I don't think we're gonna run out of things to talk about. Clearly,
the nostalgia trail is pretty long. We'll be good for a few years.
Yeah, if that chat we just had was any indication, I think we could talk about fucking anything. And I just wanted to. Before we end this, I want to thank both of you guys for having me on. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time. I really do appreciate the kind words. It's really humbling and means a lot. And thank you to anybody and everybody who was in the chat and who was watching this live today, and to anybody who will watch this in the future, because I believe it's going on YouTube. Thanks to anybody who's given this the time. It just from me, it means a lot. And just thank all of you.
Same thing. Thank you
back at you, man. Thank you. Thank you so much, man, for doing this. This was really a fun conversation. Yes. I'll just close off with this. Like we talk about deathcore every single week. Like that's what we do, and we rarely get the chance to dive into the types of stuff that we talked about today. So it was. I had a great time.
Awesome.
This was fucking awesome, man. Yeah.
Fun and refreshing. It was cool. Yeah.
Definitely. Good stuff. Well, thank you guys. I'm glad.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing this, man. We'll obviously keep in touch, and
for sure.
We'll catch you soon, man.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. You too, man.
You too, man.
Thank you so much.